budget, but they also cut a bunch of other funds on the infrastructure side of that also. And so had they not done that, had they been prepared, this wouldn't even be a debate. The whether we should be using this, that the infrastructure to deal with that in a proper way should have been in place.
And I would hazard to say that if that proper infrastructure had it in place, guess what? They'd be using a lot more ocean water, which they're already using, like I pointed out, with the Canadian seaplanes and with helicopters, and they'd be using a heck of a lot more, and no one would be talking about salinity. The only reason why they're doing that, in my opinion, is because they look really bad, criminally bad, and any excuse is a good excuse, and that's one of them. The other one that they've thrown in was like, corrosion of equipment that I've heard thrown around, and like the one guy I was debating online on Facebook, I was like, he's like, we don't, that corrodes equipment so badly. I'm like, dude's never heard of jet skis. It's like we have this consumer technology here. It's not in China. It's in the United States.
No, I don't disagree that there's measures that can be taken to mitigate that. 100%. But you notice that when you said the planes that are dropping ocean water, you said Canadian, because our planes don't do that. Our planes go over to the reservoirs and grab fresh water and do it. They don't come in with ocean water.
That's not true. That's when they're fighting forest fires inland and they're going to lakes and reservoirs. But if they're fighting a fire near the ocean, American firefighter planes, just like the Canadians, are perfectly capable of using seawater. They do it all the time. I could find videos of it. So that's not true. They do use seawater.
I shut up a little late.
Wait, real quick. The example that you gave earlier, Brian, was that there were 3 Canadian planes that grabbed ocean water. There are currently dozens, if not over 100, approaching 200 other planes that are not doing that. So you've highlighted an outlier as opposed to standard protocol. Again, if one of every, I don't know, let's pick an arbitrary number and say 50 planes. If one of every 50 planes grabs a bucket full of salt water in conjunction with the 49 other planes that are dropping fresh water, that would largely mitigate the effects of salting that particular area, because that's how disbursement and displacement works. You can shake your head all you want, but if I have 49 planes that are dumping fresh water and one plane that is dumping salt water, which of the two is going to be the majority of the water that's being dumped on the ground?
Who cares?
Okay, hang on. Why
for me? Because for me,
how about answer the question first and then dismiss it?
I'm trying to. I'm using your example. Do I care if there's specific, if LA is on fire?
This isn't about feelings. It's about science.
I'm trying to answer your question. To me, there's no difference in using 50 planes using fresh water if it was available, or 50 planes using salt water if that's all you have available. To me, there's zero difference. You're not going to notice any single difference. That's what I've been arguing this whole time. The only difference the main difference you're going to notice is whether you're going to put out the fire or you're not. Seawater, salt water, fresh water, it don't matter. So you're asking, do I care about? For me, does it make a difference if I use one plane out of 50 with seawater and the other 49 with? No, I don't. You could fill all 50 with one or the other, as long as you put out the damn fire. At the point that they don't have fresh water available, well, guess it's seawater. Okay, are we going to use the planes on using seawater or not? I say yes, and I don't care about salinity or later on knock-on effects on the environment. I don't even think they exist, because I've already talked about tsunamis washing over the land. I'll pull up videos, and it's not like they can't, and you guys said, well, it's rice. Well, no, it's rice and it's wheat and it's oat and it's barley, maybe apples. So that's not even true. It's like, these are facts, not an evidence. So you're saying things as if they're this is the way it is. I'm like, it ain't the way it is, and so I don't accept that.
Except for it is, because there's only certain crops that will grow with that kind of alkalinity. Ben.
I mean, I just showed the map that demonstrates that in Japan you've got, and I put it backstage again if anyone wants a closer look at it. But
is it not possible? Let me pose this before we go back to it. Is it not possible that the Japanese figured out what they can grow that's heavily alkaline towards the coast and what they can grow that's not? Are we dismissing the acumen of the Japanese people here?
You're saying they have different they have different wheat and barley crops than we do?
Steve's saying, but I'm going to let Flo go and say what you were going to say before, Flo, because you haven't been able to talk. But I'm going to add on to what Steve was saying here in just a minute.
We'll give Flo the floor.
I was going to say, I don't think it's reasonable to suggest that Japan has different strains of wheat than we do, or different production methods, just as I don't think it's valid to assume that salt water, which hosts most of life on Earth, and that we swim in all the time, that's more toxic than all the industrial chemicals that would be burned and melted into the ground in the atmosphere by letting it burn.
So that on its face of it is just wrong. One of the very first GMO crops ever, the very first GMO crop, we all think of wheat and things like that, but the first GMO crop that they invented was rice that would have proteins and carry the proper minerals, because these people in these areas you guys are talking about, the food that they're able to grow is so deplete in nutrition because of the land that they grow it in. They GMO'd up a special rice just for those areas to try and improve those people's health. That was the first GMO crop ever.
That demonstrates nothing. There's nothing to do with that.
Not demonstrate that they didn't make a special, unique crop just to grow in those areas?
Because the claim was they can't grow anything except for rice over here, and then that was rebutted by the map I just put. Hold on, and now you're saying rice is the first GMO crop, but that doesn't have anything to do with the crops that are growing there now. If you think that those are different crops,
I know
then demonstrate that. Then demonstrate that. Don't. That
they specifically
you're
came
straw
up
manning
with the rice growing there. I'm not
talking about rice. I'm talking about wheat and barley.
There's two crops there. Rice and wheat is the only things that they can really grow there. Wheat is also somewhat saline resistant, although in a saline environment, it will stunt its growth and stunt its mineral load.
There happen to be over 20 different kinds of wheat that you can grow. Yeah. It's not a monolithic crop.
Yeah,
I get that.
Rice isn't a monolithic crop. There are no monolithic crop. Crops will vary depending on where they're grown, what the type of soil is, what the type of weather is, all that stuff. This is universally true throughout the plant kingdom. So
but you can take barley from Japan and raise it in America. It's not like it just dies. If you have the right similar conditions.
We're talking about putting out a fire anyways. We're not talking about growing crops and stuff.
No, this is kind of off topic, but I'm just, for the point of the conversation, it's not like these things exist as a monolith. There are multiple varietals, multiple strains, some of them well more adapted to growing. You couldn't take wheat that
nobody's debating that.
You couldn't take wheat that grows in Kansas and plant it in coastal Japan and expect it to do
you know that, or are you speculating?
In the exact same way that I know for a fucking fact that you can't take tomatoes that grow well in Indiana and plant them in California, because
can you grow tomatoes in paint?
What does that have to do with building 7?
Because that's what's cut. All the houses are coated in inside and outside. That's going to be burning and melting into the environment around it. The alternative to salt water isn't nothing at all. It's
Nobody's saying
chemicals.
that. Nobody's saying that. And there's going to be a point in the conversation where we transition from saltwater, freshwater to the kind of mismanagement that has taken place in the state of California and the kind of preventative measures that were completely ignored or governmentally mandated so that we would all suffer the consequences of this. And I am 100% in agreement with you, with Brian, with Ben, with Marcus, all of that. I'm on board with that. In my mind, this is the state doing what the state does, which is punish, push you out, and make it so that you're a burnt out homesteader as opposed to somebody who's just trying to live their life.
It's relevant in the way that what the argument here is we're talking about dumping salt water into a fresh water table that truncates down what crops you can grow and makes it so the land then gets blighted. We're not disagreeing that there's coastal areas that have certain things that will grow in those coastal areas. We're disagreeing of taking salt water into inland, into an area that wouldn't normally be exposed to salt water, and now adding that to the fresh water table, in which salt water, you weren't here for the opener flow, so 100% understandable. Salt water is heavier than fresh water, so it naturally sinks down to the bottom of said water table, which is going to change, which changes the salinity, changes the pH. And plant life, normal plant life, where the problem with salt water is because plants uptake water through osmosis. So there needs to be more salt inside the plant than outside of the plant in order for it to pass through the membrane. When you start adding salt to the outside, it will actually reverse its polarity and dump the water out of the plant, and the plant will just get off my keyboard, douchebag. Dump the water right out of the plant. So the ability to grow all these plants that naturally would grow in that area is now dead because you've now changed the entire biome.
Sure. So then I'd like to ask kind of a general question. Are we in agreement that this crisis management was a managed crisis? We think that it was maybe a perfect storm of factors that contributed to the massive failure of a natural wildfire, and everything that can go wrong went wrong, and there was maybe planned negligence or people who were in charge of certain operations leaving the country, not being present for the crisis, and then the concerns of having the downstream effects from using certain fire management techniques, and how would they affect the biome and future forward. There's other plans in line. And another thing I wanted to mention and maybe bring up is the idea of the water war situation, and maybe the hubris of humans to build real estate on this oceanfront property, and people are bringing up the prices of the homes and things to say maybe that was a very impractical thing to do, and this is just nature answering that to return to an equilibrium. Brian.
No, properly managed, I think would be fine. California has been there for coastal cities for many years, and it's not a problem until we get to this wokeness and Agenda 2030 stuff. Other people have mentioned it all lining up on the map. There's no excuse for this planned incompetence. If this had been 20 years ago and this sort of fire, maybe not, yeah, I'd say 20 years ago, we've got pump boats since going back that long. They didn't have fresh water available. I have no doubt in my mind that they would figure out how to use ocean water to put out the fires, and it wouldn't blight the land. It would be effective at putting out the fires, and a year later, no one could tell any difference. Just like how you have other places. This is coastal California. It's not like, oh, the coastline of California never gets seawater on it. Who said that? Like, that's not true.
Okay, so we have however many thousands of years of human history to draw from for this, though. Can you, because you're making the claim that salt water is as or equally beneficial as fresh water, can you point to specific examples where this was either the preferred option or the, I guess, conventionally wise option as opposed to freshwater? Is there anything specifically that you could cite that would say this is a preferred method, as good method, better method?
I would argue
any information that would help me understand this.
Yeah. So first of all, ancient peoples, they didn't have pump planes flying water from either the ocean or from a reservoir. If an ancient people, I would assume, and I'm sure we could look it up, they used whatever water they had available to put out whatever.
Let's just go for the last 100 years.
Well, let's say there's a port city. Port cities, okay, I have no doubt in my mind that a port city had no problem using ocean water to put out fires.
Can you show me? Because I remember.
I mean, I can.
I have a real hard time believing before the last 100 years that they had the technology
so first of all,
to pump water out of the ocean.
So first of all, the most ancient peoples, like, I mean, you've got, like, we're talking about irrigation here now, and we're talking about different levels of technology, but it's not for lack of.
Ooh, hey, that's a great thought, Brian. Why do we irrigate?
Right.
Why do we irrigate?
To grow crops, but we're not talking about growing crops.
Okay.
We're talking about putting out fires.
Understood.
And then think about it this way. If I'm talking about, even if I was talking about crops, if I've got land where there's buildings and houses and cars and all that stuff is going to get burnt to a crisp, release PCBs and dioxins and crap into the air and into the ground. And then to me, there's no contest between salt water and like melted house car shit into my ground. And I see they're so different. Like, how many ancient civilizations and cultures do you remember burning all their shit all over their farmland and then trying to raise? Okay, no, they probably put out the fire first. Do they care if it was water, seawater, or fresh water? Probably not.
According to you, and I don't even necessarily disagree with this, but according to you, direct energy weapons are a big component of this. What does salt water have to, like, what does melted metal have to do with naturally occurring fire in antiquity if we're talking about a direct energy weapon based conflagration? Like why is that a part of the argument? You know what I mean?
You're muted, Brian.
Yeah, you're muted. I'm sorry, brother.
The only reason why I'm bringing up directed energy weapons is to show that there's an agenda here. The same people, the same.
Well, we all agree on that,
right? And the same forces that are using directed energy weapons are the exact same forces using their lamestream media outlets to push. We can't, salt water is bad line. And so that's where I'm saying they're together. It's like the same puppet master lighting the fires with the laser beam is also saying, all of a sudden we forgot firefighting pump boats. We forgot the fact that we already use airplanes and helicopters to take seawater. As we've been showing on TV, no one is saying, oh my gosh, you can't, stop that helicopter. Don't ground that helicopter. Maybe someone was flying a drone to stop the Canadian seaplanes because they were trying to prevent seawater from being used, but I don't think so.
No, that was just some asshole. There's no doubt about that. That dude is just a douchebag, straight out.
And so exactly, and so they already use salt water, and so you're arguing like they don't use it because it's bad. And I'm saying we've got it on TV right now of like seaplanes and helicopters flying back and forth with ocean water.
I'm saying I agree with you in that there is a huge difference between the 3 planes that you cited and the dozens to hundreds of other planes that aren't dumping salt water.
They could.
Just real quick, if your position was correct, we wouldn't need reservoirs.
Saltwater planes either. A saltwater plane.
We would just need scoop copters and scoop planes, and they would fly ocean missions all day long, day in and day out. And the only thing that we would be using would be ocean water, but we don't do that. In fact, to a huge difference, we use fresh water. So why in your opinion is that?
It's because it's not because they don't want to use ocean water. It's in the fires where you see them using reservoir water. They're next to a reservoir. That's the closest body of water.
So disingenuous. No,
Our water
Malibu's
lines are hooked up to
burning.
fresh water because we use fresh water for everything.
Being emptied away from out. They're trucking in water from Yosemite right now to help,
because they don't have, because they have an empty reservoir. But if they had their act together, I'm arguing
a different conversation.
I'm arguing
is why don't they always use salt water?
Okay,
they're incompetent. You think there's 50,000 years?
Wait. We already have pump ships on harbors that will put out fires on land using seawater all the time. So then, wait a second. So
already salinated. Yeah.
No, they're not desalinating the water as they're sucking it up out of the ocean.
That's not what I said.
Okay.
I said they're spraying the salinated water on parts of the land that are already salinated.
No. It's a harbor fire.
Water
got
that
a boat in the water.
Salinated.
You're spraying the water onto the fire, which is like a building on the land. And there's no issues that that land becomes barren and turns into a desert.
No, because it's already salinated land. That's what Steve was saying. So that's already going to grow marsh grasses.
Right. And then what I said
like that.
And then I point out that there are plenty of bodies of land that get inundated, flooded, tidal waves, tsunamis with seawater, and they're not blighted. So that's not even true. That's not true. Okay, what I see them using is water, the easiest, most accessible water to fight that fire. That's what they're going to use. If they've got a reservoir nearby, because you're up in the mountains and you're not flying 2 hours to the ocean each way, back and forth round trip, okay, you're going to use a reservoir. When they're on the water with ocean, okay, the reason why they're not using all these other planes is because California doesn't have it together. They don't have the planes operational with the pilots and the companies and the budget. If they did, I'm sure they would be using a lot more of the seawater, whatever water. Now, Red is saying salt your garden, see if you can grow anything there. It's pointed to Japan, okay? They have tsunamis all along. Their water gets salted their land gets salted all the time.
Yeah, and they had to have special GMO crops made just for them so they could survive because they had such health problems.
Not because of water.
For how long?
That's because of the water, because the crops that grow on their land won't suffice them. So they had to go make special crops.
You're bringing up a very specific of GMO rice, and it's not like Japan along its coastline for all these hundreds of years, maybe 1,000+ years, okay, they've been getting inundated with salt water. They're still able to grow crops along their coastline before GMO rice. They didn't need GMO rice. They figured out how to grow rice in Japan.
Deplete and fucked up. They had to make a GMO rice to try and make these people healthy. It was the very first one, and that made it so they can now grow in these areas that are there, and that's the whole reason that they broke it apart. They made it so it's protein enriched because these were extraordinarily healthy, unhealthy people.
I mean,
and to further that,
other ways to grow
other people outside of these rich people in Malibu. Typically, if you live in a fire-prone area like I do, because I live in a place. Which, by the way, when we were on fire, they didn't go to the ocean, which is closer than the nearest reservoir. They went to the reservoir. You live in a home where I can see the other side of my home right there. My bedroom's right up there. That's the entirety of my home because guess what? I live in a forest that catches fire a lot. And so out here, people have to regularly just rebuild their whole home. It's a thing we do. So you don't build a gajillion-dollar mansion.
So that returns to the question I asked earlier. Is this specific area, this beachfront real estate, this highly sought after real estate, the beachfront is, there's only so much beachfront. These people bought it up. They built their houses. is there a agreement or a disagreement here about whether or not there should even be houses? Should that area not be zoned for housing because it's going to cause a fire that's going to cause a crisis management, which is going to suck money from other funds?
So for me, that's all eco-fascism nanny state talk. Like, oh, it's too expensive for the government if I build my house on the ocean front. I don't buy that argument at all. And Polly Chase was saying, is this guy arguing to water our crops with seawater? No, I'm arguing to put out fires with seawater. And if the fire happens to be on land that may or may not have crops in the foreseeable future, it don't effing matter. What matters first is putting out the fire. If you let the fires burn what they've been burning up, $150+ billion of houses, cars, and other property has been burnt up. The amount of chemicals and shit, I'll say it, in the air and in the water right now compared to freaking salt water, that makes me sick. And I challenge you, Polycrops, if you think you care so much about like blighting the land, why don't you go right now to Pacific Palisades or to Pasadena and go tell the people, hey, you know, thank God they didn't, you know, your houses weren't put out with seawater. You know, I'm glad your houses are burned, because if they use seawater to save your houses and property,
wait, hang on. Why is that the argument? Why is that the framing?
That's what started this debate in the first place. Was Benjamin posted something about Romans salting the earth and how bad that is for the environment, and that's why we're not using salt water to put out these fires.
Well, that's because that's factually
that's why. That's kind of like why.
Yeah. So your position is, who gives a fuck if it's unfallible going forward? The most important thing is we make sure that the destruction that has already taken place up to the point where you would need to go scoop water out of the ocean stops shortly after. Yeah.
Close. No, I'm saying, who gives an F if you're using salt water or not?
Well, you could. Yeah, I don't know if you say fuck or not, but you're allowed to.
I don't give an F, because what I'm saying is, even if you do use salt water, ocean water, it's not gonna hurt the land and blight the land and render it sterile the way some of you guys are arguing.
So,
I don't even
Brian,
think
you're arguing the highest priority is to use any available water, including ocean water, to prevent the spread of a fire.
And worse damage, and even if you do use seawater, it's not going to hurt. You're not going to find any difference, and that's why this is California coastline, which has been inundated with seawater all the time. It's a temperate, more Mediterranean climate down there, and it's not an issue. Just like I point at Japan, I point at Indonesia, other places, they're not like all sterile. They didn't have GMO crops 500 years ago in Japan, and they weren't starving. Like,
no,
but they didn't grow in them spots.
Yeah, I'll come back to this comment. I'll come back to this comment here real quick from Josh. Barely 20% of Japan's available land actually suitable for crops due to the salinity in the ground. They managed to grow some crops along the coast, but
Josh isn't a source. Josh, no offense to Josh,
and I understand that, but it's not that difficult to look up the fact
this is a one-time thing.
Well, then look it up, and if you find a different source
with seawater. I'm not saying you're going to irrigate the crops with seawater forever and ever. I'm saying you've got a freaking one-time fire that you haven't seen in the whole history of LA.
But you have
one time with seawater, and you move on.
1968
in
LA, this happened.
You don't argue.
1973, this
if we
happened.
put it out with seawater, oh my gosh!
In 1983, it happened. 1987, it happened.
So the only point of me pulling this up is to demonstrate that rice, which is the left column here before modification, brown rice is not actually nutritionally inferior to other crops. The reason they modified it is because it's the most consumed crop on Earth, and no single crop contains all the necessary nutrients. So that's a null point. Also, do you know how much we spread? As much as 60 million, metric ton. No, I mean, I'm just attacking a straw man. You're right. It's a straw man to begin with.
Well, very specifically, I said that the people that live in those zones had health issues, So they made GMO crops in order to make it.
And
so
what
those
I'm
people
saying
could
is
be
that
healthy.
your own source refutes the claim.
Right.
But it's a
My
straw man.
source.
You're right. That's a straw. The rice is a straw man topic, regardless. 60 million metric tons of salt is spread on roads each year. This shit is not toxic
It's not
to the
same
degree that you're
salt,
treating it.
bro. That's road salt, bro. That's not the same. There's about a dozen different primary salts in the ocean.
Okay, so what
You
is
think
the
all
difference?
salts
Yeah,
are
and
salt?
mag chloride ain't it.
So
Yeah.
question then, let's clarify for the listening audience, what is the difference between using salt on road to melt ice and using salt water that will be evaporated in a high flame fire? So we have hot.
in the
If I'm
first
not
place-
mistaken, road salt is sodium chloride.
No, it's magnesium
NaCl,
chloride.
Magnesium chloride, my bad.
Yeah.
And that doesn't exist in salt water.
No, it's a component. You have to create magnesium chloride for road salt. It's not sodium chloride that exists in nature. It's a different
My bad.
compound.
Off the top of my head.
No, hold on a second. Anywhere here saying that he agrees with me if no fresh water was available. There was no fresh water available. They literally had
No,
the
there was
reservoir
fresh
empty.
water
The
available.
firefighters, well, there were firefighters, many who have testified that there was no water in the fire hydrants, and LA
Correct.
has admitted that they cut the power, which means they didn't have water. So the idea that they just had all this fresh water available is not true. They didn't.
Little bit of a distinction here, real quick. When you cut power, you don't necessarily cut water. What happened with LA, and this goes back to deliberate mismanagement on the part of a malevolent state, which is entirely different than what we're talking about. But there's a couple of key reservoirs, one of which was drained entirely. Another is owned to the tune of 60% by one particular couple, the Resnick family. And they have the majority share of that reservoir, and they already have contracts that says that water has to go to their crops. If we're talking about the availability to grab what they could have gone to Big Bear for that. They could have a helicopter flight from Big Bear to LA is 45 minutes.
It makes sense to fly
shake your head all
one
you
bucket.
want, but-
It makes sense to fly one bucket, 45 minutes each way from Big Bear.
It makes sense to send a battalion if you're concerned about saving the community.
Why don't you just fly your helicopter 30 seconds to the ocean right there?
Because
You'd rather
you
fly
want the
45
people
minutes
who
each
live
way
there
to
to be
Big
able
Bear.
to prosper
Each way
going forward
versus 30 seconds.
If what you're saying
That hurts,
is if what you're saying is true, this would have been the protocol for the entirety of human history. We've had a while to figure this out.
The entirety of human
Wild
history.
speculation.
We didn't ever
How
had
is that
helicopters.
speculation?
Because in ancient Rome, did they have helicopters?
Salt in your field.
Because
Entirety
the
of human
reason-
history when we had
the
helicopters.
Yeah, we didn't have and we use fresh water
Like last
for all
100
of our
years, maybe?
for all of our uses, right? The infrastructure is hooked up to fresh water. That's why we use it to fight fires. You can fight a fire with gutter water. It doesn't need to be reverse osmosis.
Why
You're not
is the
drinking.
infrastructure hooked up to fresh water? Though that's what I'm
To
trying
drink.
to get you to figure
To
out.
drink.
Because
You gotta drink
we
it.
drink it. And Yeah.
So
That and it kills all the other life besides humans. It kills all the
if
plants.
they
all
drink
the
it,
animals.
things that live in
everything.
fresh water
besides
can't
that,
drink.
That it kills all the stuff besides that. That might be why they use
You understand most life
Otherwise,
on
we
Earth
wouldn't
lives
be
in
about
salt water. Most life on Earth lives in salt water.
Not the stuff inland though. So the stuff
Correct.
salt water kills us, fresh water would kill
Salt water only
people.
kills us if we drink it. So yes, the plants that are getting doused with salt water, they're going to die probably. That's
and everything in the soil until
they're
the salt
probably
is
going to
gone.
die as anyways from the fire. Now, what we're talking about is we're talking about having salt water put on ground or having tons of industrial chemicals burnt and melted into the ground. Do you know?
So tell
Like,
me,
yeah.
Flo, if you were out in the ocean and you hadn't had a drink for a week, would you drink salt? And you were
No.
dehydrated,
But we're not talking about
If you're on
drinking.
fire,
We're not talking about drinking.
Salt water or not.
I also wouldn't
Let me
drink.
desalinate it first.
I also wouldn't drink automotive paint.
Okay, thank you,
We
gentlemen.
aren't using automotive paint to put out the fire.
But we are melting it into the ground, right?
That's true. I don't disagree with that, although I don't know how many automotive paint places or factories are down in the Palisades.
Well, there's cars down there that are melting, like, you know.
Yeah.
There's all the environmental repercussions of letting these fires cook. All this stuff is way bigger than just putting some salt water on it. Like,
No, but the salt water is going to make it worse. So you understand that similar to drinking salt water when you're dehydrated. Yes,
you're not putting salt
in and of
on after the
itself
fact. The
makes
salt
these
water
chemicals bioavailable. Do you understand what bioavailable?
Benjamin, let me ask you. If your house is there, you've got a house, you got a ranch in Malibu, okay? And you got.
I'm not a jackass.
Your
but
horses
yeah,
are on. Your horses are on fire. Your mansion is on fire. Okay, yeah, you got all this grass and a rose garden. You have a choice? Okay, we can save your house with ocean water, which has a lot of salt in it, or we can let the motherfucker burn.
I would shoot the helicopter trying to come put that fucking poison on my land. Number one, my
salt
horse
water is not
poison.
Let my horses burn.
That horse is dead now because the horse now any grass that horse tries to eat, it's got no grass to eat because the grass is dead. Guess what the horse ate? Grass. That's the way most animals work. They eat these things that are growing out of the land. Y'all are trying to poison en masse. And what we're talking about here is salt water that's going to sink down and sit inside the water table. This is part of why when they salted the grounds, and it's not just some whimsical thing. This is a historical saying where literally armies, when they wanted to take and make it so you're not only you are fucked, your kids are fucked. You are never going to come threaten my empire again. We salt your ground on the way out.
Not only would you say no, not only would you say no, do not save my house, don't save my horses, don't save my land, you're going to shoot at the helicopter.
Yeah, get that thing the fuck away from me. Don't poison my land. Guess what? I'm going to have a new house next year. Okay. No problem. Guess what? My land is going to be more green than it was ever.
No, it won't, dude.
Yeah, it will. Because guess what?
You know what insulation is made out of? What paint is made out of? What construction adhesives are made out of? Bro, you're insane if you think that just burning all this shit down is not way more environmentally harmful. It was.
Throughout history, they have burnt the land in order to make
burnt fields of grass. They didn't burn cities,
not houses with like modern crap and chemicals in it. They didn't have that.
This is what we're talking about. We're talking about a city. We're not talking about burning a field.
He asked if I asked about my house. I live out in the freaking woods. I would never let somebody put salt on my land.
So, gentlemen,
let me go ahead.
In the interest of moving this forward, we've reached impasses, and your positions have been clearly stated. Maybe I'll ask you guys: do you want to go into the conversation of the insurance and the finances of living in those places, and maybe the sustainability or the inability to live in those areas? And now, regardless of how the
I don't know we're going to come to any disagreements on the insurance things, but yeah, let's discuss it.
Right. So I understand. I'm hearing certain values are prioritized in different order for the gentleman on the panel tonight. Now that this terrible event has happened and we have to move forward, a lot of that's going to involve lawyers, finances, figuring out who's going to pay for what, and kind of prioritizing the money. And then the disbursement of funds may take forever, to the point where there's nothing left for anybody in a reasonable lifetime to rebuild a life. So, Brian, do you have any thoughts about moving forward with insurance claims and government needing to pay for this?
So State Farm already knew ahead of time that with all the earthquakes and wildfires and California mismanagement, it's a bad deal. So whether or not, they had heads up from their New World Order buddies, or they just have really good actuaries, which, I wouldn't doubt that either way, they've already pulled out. And so now the vast majority of these people, seeing the California bureaucracy right now is basically, it's going to be a nightmare trying to rebuild. And getting an insurance claim honored at the same time, however many tens of thousands of homeowners are filing claims, trying to get materials in this economy with everything that we've been through, much less California. I mean, for me, it's my heart goes out to them because it's a double tragedy. It's a tragedy first of losing their property, and then it's going to be compounded by the tragedy of I really don't see a clear way people normally are going to be able to rebuild unless they have truckloads of money. And I know maybe some of the people in that area do, but I'm pretty sure a lot don't. And my heart goes out to them.
I'm going to throw on top of there that a lot of people don't realize that, like in the car fire, which was 2020, was that 2020, 2019, 2018. So the car fire, which is Northern California, in at the time had set the biggest land fire that had ever been. A lot of those homes, they're not letting them be rebuilt. So even if they do get some money back for the home, a lot of these, they're not in California. They're not letting them be rebuilt. If you do rebuild it, it's on your dime. And if it, just like my house, I can't get insurance on my house. I agree 100% with Brian's sentiment. Who knows whether they got word to pull out extra, but the fact is they've been pulling out for years. All the other insurance companies have. It's impossible to get insurance in California, and especially Northern California, against fire.
Except for on New Year's Eve of 2024, Gavin Handsome signed a bill into law that mandated 30 days after the bill being signed into law that insurance companies would have to provide fire coverage. Now, what this says to me, especially in light of the fact that State Farm and a number of other major insurers canceled policies 3 months before this particular fire, what that says to me is the state of California and the insurance companies are price fixing premiums to skyrocket in order to make sure that none of us ever get to own homes.
And he says that because in order to get a loan on a home, like my home, I had to buy this cash. They won't give me a loan. They won't give you a loan.
Are you in a flood zone?
For this? No, I'm in a fire zone.
He's in a fire zone.
And so they won't give you a loan for a home out here because you can't get insurance. That's what he means. So either you A, have cash to buy your home, B, do a contract for deed, or C, you don't own a home ever.
Yeah. And in Malibu in particular, where this happened, the Pacific Palisades represents like the 1% to the 0.6%, not the 0.5 to 0.01%, not the huge money guys, but like the we got a lot of money guys. Well, now they're all burnt out and they'll never be able to fucking carry the insurance again. Or if they do, it'll be so exorbitant that only a select few can outright personally afford to maintain that. Otherwise, it's going to be down to BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street, and Berkshire Hathaway.
Dude, and the thing people don't think about is fires go through sometimes multiple years in a row. So I know a ton of people that their house burnt down that before they even finished putting up a new fucking house, that sucker burnt down too. Like, could you imagine doing that on your dime? You ain't got no dimes left after that. Like I said, this is part of why out here in the mountains, there's people out here that are millionaires that live in a shack, because when your shack burns down, you chuck up another shack. It's cool. Like, I can build this basic structure in a week and a half and have it pretty much done with Steve's help, which I'd make him come do.
Yeah, and it took 3 days. I just had to get up off my ass and actually do it. But yeah,
He requires so much coffee and kratom in order to get him moving.
I was
Could
going
be
through
worse.
a divorce, man. It was a
That's
rough
a bro.
time.
That you're a bro. You are definitely a bro.
Dude, I'll come build you a fucking outbuilding right now, Brian. We just met.
I'm in northern Nevada. Come on up.
Fuck
we got
Brian.
good
He was
time.
disagreeing with you the whole time. I'm sort of on your side. I've been disagreeing with you less. You can come build me something. I don't know what I need.
All right, man.
Need a garage.
I'm 75 an hour and I'm good.
Oh wait. I thought we were friends now.
Yeah, no, we are. That's
Okay.
the bro rate. Yeah.
Shit.
If anything, this is pointing to we're going to require paradigm shifts as people are going to figure out how to build houses more in ground, like earth ships using sprayed concrete, aircrete, epicrete with latex in it to make it fireproof, earthquake proof, mold proof, bulletproof, you name it, ant proof. And you know, and this is part of the new earth that's getting into the disclosure stuff, but it's definitely business as usual ain't gonna work, and all the people who are going to try it on Pacific Palisades land, my heart goes out to them.
We have DC in the chat giving Pennywise lyrics to the conversation. So we went from a nice talk to pop punk.
It's good. It needed some heat to it. I knew we were going to end up falling off. We were all, even when Flo showed up, I knew we were all going to agree when we're like, the government's fucking it all. We're like,
well, yeah.
Agree with that.
Then here, give me who here is a secret space program time travel skeptic?
That
Okay.
yeah, no, I'm a skeptic of that.
Like, and we might have to take this to another.
I believe there is obviously space. It's there.
Mhm.
I don't believe we have any access to it, nor do normal things access us. My first question, if you want to talk about space, is why is it that there's never been a UFO ever that's been recorded, like doing a little loop-de-loo around the moon and then coming into, they're always already in our environment before anybody ever talks to them. You don't have any long distance. Oh, hey, look, here's this thing. Wow. Oh, wow. That thing's, oh my God, what is it? Oh my God.
I mean, are you sure? I don't.
Yes,
You might be right, but you might.
We have video. There's video from professional and amateur astronomers all over the world where they've got their telephoto lenses and telescopes on the moon, and they've got ships going across the face of the moon. They have other imagery
across the face. Why don't they come behind it?
Well, they do. I mean, they do. It's just hard to track. The only reason why you're able to see them is because they're across the face of the moon. Otherwise, you wouldn't see like a grain of rice flying at you through space. Like it wouldn't, you know. It's hard. It's hard to see that stuff. But they've got it coming out of the sun.
I don't disagree. I'm friends with Crow 777. I've been on his show so many times that I have my own drop-down menu. And Crow's famous for that's all he does is record the moon. And other
he said
things.
Balderson ain't shit. That's what he said.
Yeah,
that's actually the title of his last episode is Balderson ain't shit.
Fucking, I knew it. I knew. You know what? I used to be called the Antichrist regularly when I went on there by the Christian listeners, and that's fallen off. And you know, my ego's hurt. It's hurt. I was like the second most important guy in their whole book. Like, fuck. But Crow sits and records these things. He's the guy who discovered the lunar wave. I don't know if you know what that is. You know, super weird thing where literally it's almost like on older TVs when you were trying to set the VCR or older VCRs when you're trying to set the tracking, they'd have these little waves that would go down over the screen. It literally looks like that's happening to the moon. It's always in twos. It's always two of them that happen. And since then, it's been recorded over other luminaries, but he's never recorded anything like that. I know lots of other people. In fact, trying to find actual objects out in space almost never happens, despite the fact that we're supposedly surrounded by like 1 million satellites and space debris. It's pretty clear almost all the time. If you just sit and record it, it's finding an event is very odd.
Well, I mean, you know, my argument for or against UFOs flying in through space isn't that we haven't seen them flying directly all the way coming from space. I mean, there are people who argue that they've seen light ships that look like stars, like way up, coming way down to them on the ground. So there are people, I'd argue, who have seen that. My whole thing,
they didn't record it. I mean, my brother saw Bigfoot too, but
there are people who record this stuff. I mean, they've got recorded. And now, I mean, look, last year at the beginning of the year, before I remember telling my mother and my one brother, Jason, hey, Mom, Jason, I'm going to be throwing a UFO conference. And Jason walked off, UFO conference, threw up his hands and laughed and walked away. Not even a year later, November of the last year, we've got UFOs worldwide, all over the place. And there's so much more information that I have to share. I'd love to come back. I think, I feel like we're towards the end of this because we did a great debate. I'd love to come back to debate secret space program.
100%. 100%. Yeah, we're about at the end of our 2 hours. We might keep going just because it's been fun. Flo's here, or maybe Flo will start up and we'll jump over on him or something. But
I'm actually multi-streaming right now.
Yeah, so because I know Steve's got limited time, so maybe Marcus and I at least will jump over.
I have another 45 minutes or
he's got 45 minutes, but we would absolutely love to have you back. It's been an excellent debate, excellent time. Even though we didn't you don't expect to come to a resolution. That's just the way debate is. You're just, you don't expect anybody to go, oh my God, unless they really didn't know something and you informed them of something. You don't expect that. A change of position. At the end of it, you have your position, which you put your importance, as Marcus said, you put yours on the home and the things like that. And I put mine on the actual land and the future of the land. That's just a difference.
No, we put ours on logic and you put yours in, I don't know, the belief that salt is worse than chemicals.
Right. Because I'm saying that
wasn't the argument, though. The argument wasn't whether salt is worse than chemicals. It was whether or not fresh water or salt water was beneficial to putting a fire out. We never talked about the whole.
Not quite. And whether the salt water is, my point is, the salt water is even worse. So it's no different than being out in a boat for a week and you're dying of thirst and you drink a cup of salt water. It makes it worse. It doesn't make it better.
Yeah.
My point is that when it comes to saving your house and property and land, it's not drinking the water. It's using the salt water. If that's all you have available. If you have fresh water, great. Use that out of the fire hydrant. If you don't, use the salt water versus letting it burn. And not only is it better to use the salt water to save your house, animal, land, and property, but it won't even hurt the land anywhere near as bad as what Benjamin and Steve are arguing. I don't accept that part.
That's the problem. Maybe we could have you back and you could present evidence.
Now I want to do disclosure next, because I think that I don't think
has anybody demonstrated the other side?
Change my minds, but I think that the people in the audience,
we can demonstrate the other side. Flow State, we can't grow anything using fresh water versus salt water.
That's not this paradigm that we're in. What we're talking about is, on one hand, you can run salt water over the land, right, to put out the fires before everything melts into the ground, or you can let the chemicals burn and melt into the ground. We don't have a comparable. I'm sure that we don't have an actual.
Are you under the impression that the salt water
comparable
situation soak into the land?
I'm under the impression that salt is not a toxin, except in huge quantities when you're drinking it.
So we can the amount of it, the dose is
just like everything, right? Well, not just like everything, like most things. There are some things like spray insulation that are just straight up toxic.
Sure, and then we could, talk about the EPA and, moving forward, what new laws and regulations may come in, and other scientific explorations of, this crisis management with all the data available. I know that we were short on time to be able to gather more resources. So while Brian is here, I did hear you tease a little bit about alternative technologies to build structures, more sustainable, hidden technologies, these types of things.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'd love to come back to discuss all of that. Everyone, please, I just liked and subscribed here on YouTube. So if you're watching on YouTube, please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. And if you'd like me to come back to debate secret space programs and all of that good stuff, please put that in the comments. I'd love to come back. I had a great time with you all tonight.
And will you guys put your links backstage? I've got Ben's and Dogfish. I don't know that I got the rest.
fulldisclosuremovement.org to check out the 2025 Full Disclosure Now conference coming up this July 15th to 18th at St. Pete Beach, Florida. We'll be at the lovely Serrata Beach Resort. And then we have a sister event that weekend, the 19th and 20th, ending our 4-day and night event. We'll have a Saturday and Sunday at the beach with the Day of Being 5.0 people. So it's like 1,000 starseeds and light workers and psychics hanging out in their swimming suits at nearby Indian Shores Beach, which is only about 25 minutes away from St. Pete Beach.
Sounds way more pimping than the last event.
It does sound pimp. And star workers or light workers and witchy chicks are normally fairly good looking as a demographic, I would say.
Slutty too.
A little bit ate up, but good looking. I'll take it.
Totally ate up, but you know.
But so are we.
Yeah, 100%. Otherwise, you wouldn't be attracted to them. But
it's our energies that bring us together.
Marcus and I's last speaking event that we had to go to at went to Flattoberfest was right in Hurricane Helene, and him and I went right through the center of that shit, like literally on the event weekend.
Are natural disasters on the rise? Is this just global communication? So we're all talking about it.
Weather warfare.
Okay.
As long as we keep throwing HARP at everything, yeah, absolutely, yeah. But so there's a difference between man-made climate change and man-made climate change, and we're living through the latter, as far as I'm concerned.
So you're blaming specifically men on this, and women have no part of the climate changing?
Well, they know their place, and they were in the kitchen sweeping up after the HARP effects. They were. Hopefully.
You know what? It's them getting out of the kitchen that was the damn problem.
Right? If we would have just kept them in the fucking kitchen in the first place, none of this ever would have happened. Maybe you're right, Marcus. Maybe it is women. We should go ahead and blame them. I agree with you.
Then that, jokes aside, that is a question, because we were bringing up the topic of DEI, and if there were certain women firefighters who were ill-equipped to do this job, so then maybe we blame the men for not stepping up to say, our merit and our strength has, caused us to supersede the need for female firefighters. So we're the men.
Dude, I see this as a deliberate manifestation of state malfeasance.
Yeah, the DEI that Brian was talking about earlier was the nail on the head with that, where it's the state is choosing wrong people because they fit other qualifiers besides the one that's good at doing their job. That qualifier is apparently not even being accounted for anymore. And the way we do it in my house is every time my wife tries to leave the kitchen, I try to get her pregnant, and I don't know what the hell's going on. I've been trying, real hard for like the last 10 years, and she don't never get pregnant, but it's been a good time.
I could help you out with that.
She's also in menopause. And,
oh, did you hear me?
Yes, she can hear
me. It was just a joke.
Dude, my house is only like fucking 20 feet by 30 feet. It's literally a shack in the woods. Like, everybody can hear you here.
Brian, man, thank you for being on. I appreciate your time. And one more time, please direct people to your website and all that kind of stuff before you get out of here. Come back on. Let's do this again. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you, Steve. Yeah, my website is fulldisclosuremovement.org, and you can get the general admissions passes and the couples passes. This is the Super Soldier Early Bird, which is going to go up at the end of the month. So it's best pricing now. And also, you can book your rooms at the Serrata Beach Resort by calling in to them directly. Let them know you're with the 2025 Full Disclosure Now conference, and they will apply the conference discount if you stay the whole week, which I recommend. It's a great discount, and I look forward to seeing everybody there.
Heck yeah.
How many witchy chicks do you expect this year?
Hundreds. And then on the beach with their bikinis, it's going to be great. You can't go wrong.
One of the big titty goth bitches out there on the beach.
Yeah, I think that this is a good idea.
Fucking Flo's over here like, I'm a star seed. I'm a star seed.
All I know is that my chakras are open and my crystals are aligned. Let's get it.
Let's get it. Emily Moyer, we love you.
You know, I've got plenty of great people to introduce you all to. You know, it would be great. Come bring a film crew. A lot of people are coming, and they're going to be doing great in-person interviews. That's priceless footage. You know, if you have to justify coming, and I'm happy to offer deals and stuff for admission and passes. Like, that's not a problem.
Nice. Well, it sounds real pimp. Like I said, we do public speaking. I do. My normal thing is actually alchemy. Is my normal thing I speak on. I'm an actual laboratory alchemist. So it's not just Jungian alchemy. It's actual lab alchemy that I speak on. Typically, is the thing I'm most known for. And I don't know that I've been at one that's that pimping. The Vegas one a couple of years ago was super nice. That one was huge and super nice, but my truck got stolen out the parking garage. So fuck that.
It was transmogrified. It turned into a donkey and walked away.
Yeah.
But there isn't video evidence either way.
Vegas, that's harsh. Was that for Stairway to the Stars Ascension Fest at the Luxor? Was that
Fest?
Yeah, Flagtoberfest, and then we were at the Samstown, and I was in the parking garage, and I've been to Vegas, I think 6 times in my life now. And the first 5, Vegas was, you know, what you imagine Vegas to be. It's you walk in there, and yeah, there's seedier parts, you know, if you look in the corners and whatnot, but most of it's just bright lights. Everything's here. Have this super awesome thing you've never imagined for $5. You know, just come here and spend your money on our gambling. And so this time when I went, the nicest restaurant in the place, and this is a major motel or major casino station, got the most casinos in Vegas. TGI Fridays was the nicest place in there. They had a fucking Dunkin' Donuts in there. They had a freaking Panda Express in there. They had nothing nice. There was shootouts in the Walmart across the road. Every night that we were there, they had police snipers on top of the Walmart. There was just like a permanent sniper nest up on top of the Walmart thing.
Where was this?
In Las Vegas.
I lived in Vegas for 15 months, dude. The only people that stole my truck were the cops. They did it.
Cops used to steal my shit too.
Bro, it was
might explain the Dunkin'
expensive.
Donuts. Okay.
It was expensive.
Oh yeah, that all comes together.
Well, they told me they stole my truck because I was a little mystified because I'm like, who the fuck steals a farm truck? But my truck was a giant F-250, and the cop said they stole your truck to go rob a construction site so they can back up to a piece of equipment and grab it.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah. I probably would have taken it out to the desert and rallied it, because that's what I did with my truck when I lived in Vegas. But dude, I couldn't hang it. I did. I spent over a year there. I went and watched live comedy like 3 nights a week. But other than that, I was way the fuck out in Red Rock. I was, in the middle of nowhere. I didn't want to be around civilization. I didn't care. I just wanted to go and stand still long enough to where I could see all of the colors of the desert, which there's a lot of them if you stand still for 5 minutes and just wait and then look.
Right.
And yeah. But no, the Las Vegas Police Department went to my apartment complex. We had a snitch. I had a truck that was out of reg for 3 weeks, and it got towed twice.
Wow, they're on it. I heard that it went to shit.
Driving around, parked in a place that I paid for. I was paying money to park my truck in my parking spot, and still LVPD came and was like, "Nah, dude, you're out of reg."
So when the orders are given, the orders are followed by the order followers. Things get done.
Just doing my job,
When
sir.
in Rome, when in Rome, you got to pay the man.
$1,300 to clear that shit up, dude.
What?
$1,300, including impound fees and re-reg. Yeah.
So were you a dick to a cop or something? Who pissed?
No, I do a highly subversive podcast that pisses off a lot of people on a national level. And every now and then I get hit with some shit. Before that truck got towed, the truck that I had before that got set on fire in my friend's driveway. Before that,
that's gangster. I'm banned from eBay for life. So nice to real recognizes real.
Yeah, no, solid, bro, solid. Good to have you on board. It is, man. It is. But
this is Flo. This is my partner. The guys on the top row right now are my partners on the show. We've all been.
What are we? The peasantry.
Yeah, you're the pet. You're the.
All right.
No, I was just
here.
I wouldn't hang out with somebody.
You feel better. All right, there you go.
Welcome to Flow State. I'm in charge of this shit now. It's going to be some changes around here. Everybody's going to start drinking salt water immediately.
All right, well, let's go and put Brian up there then.
All right, well, everyone, it's been a blast. Remember, plants crave electrolytes. Solar Bee out. I love you all, and I look forward to an invite anytime you guys want to do a full disclosure secret space program. I'm willing to go super woo, and I'd love to come back, guys.
We do these Tuesday nights.
Heck yeah. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you, brother.
So Flo said, have you got a streaming?
Yeah, I'm doing a share stream up here. There's 66 people watching on my end right now.
Whenever Steve goes to bail, we'll probably bail over and go over and hang out with you because he's got he lives La Vida Loca, and if he gets too loud, she'll come in there and throw hot sauce in his eyes.
Oh, please let that happen. That would be fantastic to see. That's content right there. Us arguing about salt water doesn't matter compared to that.
we don't need the smoking hot Mexican girlfriend to come throw salsa in my
head. Yeah, you do like living the dangerous life, don't you?
Yeah.
I said it. I was direct.
Ain't bullshit. And yeah, no, she's hotter than a fucking $50 pistol.
That's why I get free work, because he's dumb enough to sleep with crazy girls and then has to come stay at my house after he pisses them off.
Every once in a while it happens, man, and he gets an outbuilding or something. I'll be up there tomorrow. I will.
You don't choose the crazy woman life. The crazy woman life chooses you. So
have you called those temporary housing arrangements dog houses until just now?
No, I haven't. I should. Yeah. It's one of the finest dog houses I've ever seen in my life, though. It is.
We've even got Steve and I used to have this thing where we'd steal something from each other every time we went to each other's house, thus ensuring, the other person had to come back to your house to retrieve their stolen item.
Yeah.
And after all that, there's even an item there, and it's inmates not allowed sign from the old prison, and it's hanging out above my still over here. That's permanent now.
Heck yeah. Because I found when I was cleaning out a job, I was effectively a general contractor for about 25 years before I started doing the whole podcast thing in earnest. And so doing some clean outs, got a hold of a couple of really weird items. And so Ben wound up with one. Yeah. I
did the same thing. And you can find some weird shit in cleanouts or in demo if you like. Yeah. There's shit in walls that people don't realize how much stuff there is in walls.
Dude, and then the storage places. Those three things are the things where you're going to find weird shit,
I've never done storage units, but like owning I would love to own storage units someday. It just seems like the best business.
My
Yeah,
brother and I, whenever we would put in crown molding or something like that, we would always, I don't know, we would always make sure that we, when we hung the crown, we'd put like a newspaper or something like that from the day behind it. And whenever somebody goes to replace it, they get a little present. Sometimes we had some saltier individuals on the crew who would porn bomb.
Yeah.
Around an entire
they porn bomb
room
the future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you went to go rip that shit out 35 years from now, you pop the crown out, and then you'd get hit with the freaking Hustler from 1993 or whatever.
So can you imagine what they're gonna go through? Because like, all right, when I was 18, I was working at Montgomery Wards, and there's this old guy named Ernie that ran Montgomery, the dock where I worked.
Big Ern.
Yeah, Big Ern. And he took us up to all go ice fishing. And he had like some 1970s porns. And those girls had bush up to their belly buttons. Like it was like they had a carpet from their knees to their nipples. And you're like, what the fuck? And I mean, I'm not one of them people that like the little girl look where it's completely bare or anything like that. But hold on, you should not have a hairier belly than me. Get the fuck out of here with that.
This is no longer a bush. This is a happy trail, ma'am.
Yeah. And he has all these old porns with like these women, and I'm opening them up, and I'm like, what the hell? You know, and freaking. So can you imagine like those people when they open up and they're like, oh, people found that attractive?
You shouldn't need teeth made out of scissors to eat pussy. You shouldn't. You shouldn't.
I think you just didn't eat back then.
Right?
Yeah.
You didn't even know what you were having sex with. You just a hairball.
You had a bunch
busted out the machete and just got into the jungle, baby. Just
either that or
where's my Indiana Jones hat?
Yeah. It's either that or you had to eat it from the back, right?
Look, if there's a happy trail up front, there's probably one in back too. That's just called eating ass, sir.
It is. And at that point, it really is. It really is.
Oh, with that much hair, you know it's like shitting through a cheese grater. Oh shit!
Look, all we're saying, ladies, landing strip. That's great.
Awesome.
That's great. Carve a heart into it. Whatever.
Even the Hitler box and whatever.
If we need to, we'll come along with some clippers every now and then. Just
what, like pick and pull? You're gonna have to do a little bit of work on the front end to get your vagina out of there.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's the way it goes anyway. Flo, it really is, man. If you want optimum performance, you got to put in a little work, right?
Thank you, baby.
Somebody, Sin7 in my chat says Bush is coming back. Is this what you guys have noticed in the?
And I'm not trying to now. Granted, I'm not dating.
Your wife or girl, your woman's right within earshot, huh?
But she knows I'm not dating, and I'm extremely faithful to my wife. But have
you tried letting her choose the girl?
Yeah, we don't do that either.
I'm gonna give it to him on that. That was good.
Yeah,
it was.
No, but that looking like a little kid, that's weird to me.
Yeah.
Like why do you look like you're prepubescent?
I mean, I understand logically how that is weird. However, that just is what the vaginas that we've grown to know, I think.
Well, there was
I'm old enough that I was actually having sex before this movement. So
there was like an era, and it probably 10 or 15 years where they really tried to push that whole like shaved pussy thing on you.
Say that again.
And there was a 10 or 15 year period where societally they were like, oh yeah, no,
where
Bald
all
bush.
the body hair is removed.
Mid 90s to mid 90s to mid to like
let's be fair, the same was pushed on men too. You have those Calvin Klein
Oh,
ads
yeah.
where they're selling
Yeah.
jeans, but the only thing they're wearing are the jeans, and there's no hair on anywhere else on any of the models' bodies.
It seems like for dudes, like we grew up, and Tom Selleck was kind of the representation of male. And Tom Selleck was hairy as fuck, and he had a big ass mustache and a fucking,
the
facial hair
biggest
and shit like that.
goddamn mustache. That mustache was its own being. When
And
Tom
then-
Selleck dies, the mustache will remain.
And we went from that to fucking Justin Bieber overnight.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's been a struggle ever since. I feel like women have gone through the same sort of struggle. They had, big bush broads in the 70s, in the 80s, or whatever, all that, and then all of a sudden,
also had curvier figures. They weren't anorexic. They weren't boys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so nature is healing. We're correcting. We're getting out of that. I feel like,
make hairy fatties great again.
Well,
nobody said fatties.
Nobody said that.
Fatties, bro.
Let's not get crazy.
Let's not go wild with it.
Flow state is allowed.
Just because I don't want a woman that looks like a teenage boy doesn't mean that I want a fatty. Let's settle down over here.
One of the more
it's not just little kids or Lizzo. There's a fucking spectrum. There's a goddamn spectrum.
Yeah, but like the normal part of that spectrum is not as entertaining as the extremes.
That depends on how your stroke is and where you're hitting it, though. Really, I mean,
somewhere in that bush. It's going somewhere in that bush.
Oh shit!
Right.
Yeah, but when they shave the whole thing off and they look like a prepubescent boy because they got no body fat and no boobs, then what are you gonna do then? You're just it's just looking like it's just looking like a young version of fucking Bill from Silence of the Lambs, like tucking it.
Gentlemen,
what was the wildest
thing? Talking about actual fertile looking humans. I mean, this could be a debate on itself as far as the signs of fertility, yes, but also the rates of infertility and what might be the causes of that.
Sorry there, Floozy B, that you just came into the fucking live stream right now.
The show lasts 2 hours at 8:01. The show went right to the gutter. Right. I mean, there was no pit stop. Just
it happens places that I go, but look at this Freudian slip all up in this comment anyways.
Right? Right.
It's not a weird time to come into anything given the conversation.
Yeah.
No, in fact, you may find a little bit more enjoyment based on the fact that you did come into the conversation right now.
Yeah, and in fact, you replaced Solar Bee. So you're apparently the much dirtier bee. Yeah, it was a dad joke.
In terms of the conversation about depopulation, the counter argument of increasing the population by encouraging young people to date and mate and explore each other's bodies to create a replacement for the people.
Dude, how crazy is it? We're in an era that's a thing that we need to encourage.
Well, I think that's part of the future.
You couldn't keep you away from the girls with a gun. You're finding ways to dodge. Like, oh shit, I got to duck, dive, dodge.
The restraining orders didn't work. That's what I heard about you.
Well, that's just a restraining order is just proof of love.
Yeah, it really is.
Eight kids and 8 grandkids.
It's playing hard to get, is what it is.
Yeah. No means yes when you're girls. I mean, I didn't say that.
Bunny says, "What do you guys think about black pussy?"
I thought that's
great.
Like a lot of it. Be okay.
Yeah. Steve is dying to be the cream in some coffee. Now, don't get me wrong. He's the onion in a burrito right now, but
I grew up dating black girls, man. I've only been with a handful of white women in my life, and
those are the ones he procreated with.
I have white babies. I do, because I plan that shit out.
So for context, we do have some new viewers and listeners tonight. The Deliberating Dogface Dudes first couple episodes did directly address the so-called red pill issues and males' rights activists and men's issues and dating and mating and these types of topics. We will cover those going forward. We cover a variety of topics. Tonight, the California wildfires were hot on everyone's minds, and we discussed the use of salt water and the solution for putting fires out and the pros and cons of that.
We learned that Flo would rather have a house today than a future for his children.
No, that's absurd.
If you want to know,
you know what? We're gonna light you on fire and see what that does to the soil.
Real quick, for Carpenter's Journey, if you want to know where the black women are at, you got to watch a couple of my other shows, because I have black female co-hosts on 2 of the shows that I do, and then they bring in a bunch of other black girls. So just amwakeupshow.com. You can hang out with
drop the link.
A lot of black girls.
Most of my children and grandchildren's hair is the same approximate color as their Flo's background. I'm highly Northern European, and so is my penis's taste. It does. I could care less. I'm not racist, but my dick it distinctly likes Northern European.
I'll never be with a fucking white girl again, especially in California. They're just entitled dumb cunts.
I'm with the Dutch girl.
I
mean Danish. I wanted.
Is that where you both pay for your meal separately? You get separate checks. Dutch or Danish?
She's Danish. It's my bad. I don't know what I was thinking. I was wanting to get beat up, I guess.
Yeah, no, going Danish just means that you have to wear wooden shoes when you pay for the meal.
You know what, dude? Snooki showed up.
It's Danish too. I checked.
You know what, dude? Snooki showed up at Danish Days 2 years ago and danced with Christy, and she had the stupid wooden shoes on, and everybody just looked at her like, "What the fuck are you doing?" Right? And she had her whole camera crew and everything, but Christy and her friends had to dance with Snooki. It was fucking hilarious.
What is the white pill in a nutshell?
What is the white pill? Okay, so let's look at it. Let's look at it this way: if the black pill is
women bad,
nobody's coming to save you, and we're all fucked, then the white pill is you are responsible for your own salvation, and it's your obligation to your community and your family to put that forward and try to find solutions in every possible avenue that you can.
Sold.
It's impossible, but it's not. It's difficult, but not impossible. Is the white pill. The black pill it's impossible, and you shouldn't even try. So why bother?
I think the black pill is the fucking biggest psyop of the last couple of years.
It's a demoralization psyop.
Yeah. That Yuri Bezmenov shit that just on an internet level of communicability.
It's like the alternative
black pill shit, dude. So much, man. I just met you. I don't know you, Flo. But I've been fucking railing against that shit for fucking years, man. I'm
just starting into that fighting the manosphere, MGTOW, red pill, black pill shit.
That's kind of where we are. We don't necessarily want to 100% fight it because some of the things we agree, but some we 100% disagree. Like the fact is it seems to me, and one of our first debates was against GLO, who's a big red pill guy. It seems to me like it's just a bunch of guys that are trying to talk to basement dwellers that are absolutely, and then they're like, oh,
they're misery pimps.
Yeah, yeah, misery pimps. That's a perfect term for it. And the guys that they're selling their shit to are not guys like with GLO. He was specifically like he caters a lot to the Indian crowd, and I'm like, so you think these guys that are like, show me pics of Bobs and Vagines are going to be alpha, you know, and like, get the fuck out of here. And you got Rolo Tomasi, that guy's sleeping. Like half those guys are hanging out with hookers. Like, I'm sorry. So then being an alpha male is having enough money to get a hooker, because that's not, you know, rather than pay your money to Wes Watson or some fuck nut like that, why don't you just give $200 to a hooker and hey, you got pussy? I just gave you that one for free, guys. Like, you know, I mean, I'm not saying that's the route you should go. I'm personally into the
It's definitely a step up.
Yeah, it's a step up from paying some dude to go out and be a jackass, and then you still are just a loser, but now you're a loser who has no money that gave it to another dude. Yeah. Like, how weird is that?
You paid a guy who learned how to be a man in prison. Consider that.
Yeah,
teach you how to be a man.
So wasn't the grift essentially get a bunch of young
guys
back
in prison real soon too?
Bring him to a hotel, talk to him about the benefits of being a woman and some tips to talk to women, and then seed the club with women who are available for a price. So then the man who's giving the convention is also getting a cut of the money going to the women, so that the men can hook up with them in the hotel room. It's just it was a whole
make them feel like that they're
and some of the justification was, well, you know, you're going to have to pay a woman so you can have the real world experience. It's like an RPG metaphor for you to get any experience with a woman. It's good for you to pay her for her time.
Let me tell you guys,
to gain your experience.
when you go up and hook, when you go to find the wonderful woman who's going to be the loving mother that takes care of you and takes care of your children, having had experience with a hooker ahead of time is not going to be helpful.
It's not. Yeah, but it's still like I think that if men hold on to or carry on their virginity too long, it starts being a big psychological weight for them.
Pussy gets put on the pedestal, and they
let me ask you a question, Flo. What do you think the optimum age then would be for a man to lose his virginity?
I don't know that I thought about that. It's so I think that it's going to be social primarily. That the answer will be have social context.
Okay, no, I can rock with that. I can.
Because it's. I mean, isn't it mostly a social concern?
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you're making the declarative statement, if a man is a virgin for too long, then there has to be at some point an optimum, right?
Yeah. But I don't think it's biologically fixed. I think it's socially determined.
Socially when is too long?
Huh?
So socially when is too long?
Socially, I think that if you hit 20, probably just from the hip, I would say at 20, you're probably starting to feel that.
Okay.
I got to agree with you.
I agree with that. I would
pay for a hooker.
I mean, honestly, I personally would move it lower, but I recognize that
I'd move it higher. I'd move it up to like 23. Like you can be a 22-year-old virgin and trying to fucking actually produce the best version of yourself in that moment that you can. It doesn't mean, it doesn't mean that you wouldn't have benefit if you had sex when you were 17, 18, 19 or whatever. But
Jesus Christ, are you Marcus Aurelius over here? You went through that whole teenage years without bumping uglies one time?
Right.
Well, I didn't. I didn't, but I'm not the fucking example of what you're supposed to do.
But when you were 18, how many?
12. I'm like fucking 22.
Yeah, dude, I was 13.
I was 14. The more I think about it, the more I'm thinking 18 is probably more reasonable than 20. I'm going to move it down some. But I don't know what the kids these days are doing. I hear that they're more celibate than we were.
They are. They are. I have a 19-year-old son. And yeah. Oh, by the way, my 19-year-old son got like legitimately drunk for the first time a couple of weeks ago.
The first time.
Funny as fuck. Like legitimately drunk. Not like when his aunt fed him Mike's hard cider when he
Objection.
was
I challenge that it was the first time. It was just the first time you knew about Dad.
No, dude.
His kid's actually a really good kid, and they have a really open.
Yeah.
Isn't it weird how that works? My daughter's good too.
Relationship.
Yeah, no, he's overly forthright with me.
Yeah.
Like to an uncomfortable level sometimes.
I used to use that offensive over disclosure against my mom. They would teach her not to ask any fucking questions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, that's
you overshare on something you don't care about, so she doesn't feel the need to pry into something that you do.
Yeah,
I get it.
No, it's a combat tactic. It is, but no, I know for a fact that the first time my kid got drunk was because my sister got him drunk because he went and hung out with his aunt out of state, and she was like, "Hey, we're all fucking lushes here in Illinois, so why don't you fucking pull up and have a fucking hard lemonade?" And he's like, what? Why would I do that? Why? No, fucking don't be a puss. Fucking sack up, drink this shit, faggot. What are you doing?
The amount of social pressure it takes to get through your first alcoholic drink, because it never is good. You're never like, wow, that was just awesome. You're always like, oh God. Yeah, I like it, guys. I like
your first beer, right? Like, but I don't know. The first time I got drunk, it was pineapple juice and Malibu rum. Like,
ooh,
I was good with that.
That's the bit. I said I didn't mean a bitch drink.
Oh well, no, it's fine. It is a bitch drink. I was also 13, so
yeah, I understand. Mm-hmm. Like I thought cactus juice was one of the first alcohols I ever bought. And
yeah,
that's stuff too.
I think mine was Southern Comfort and Mountain Dew, so we're not that far off.
Dude, I drank so much Southern Comfort when we were like 17, 18. That one was such an easy one. I remember my best friend was Chinese. He was from Hong Kong, and we tried doing the Chinese flips while we were drunker and fuck. Only my
what
wife,
is a Chinese flip?
Where you do that thing where you roll up on your shoulders and kick up onto your feet.
Oh yeah, okay. I thought it was like a shot or something.
And no, we were just drinking Southern Comfort, but we were doing it in the laundry room of this apartment building because my wife wouldn't let us smoke.
That's the best. House. I already love this shit.
But it's a cement floor, and we're drunker and fuck doing this thing where you roll up on and then try and flip up and not succeeding any of the times. It is all bad. You wake up the next day feeling like somebody beat you with a baseball bat when you sobered up. Jesus God.
You're talking about high school students and their experience with substances. There are some who are so afraid, and part of that is there might be a school policy that says you can't sing in the choir, you can't play on the football team if you're caught drinking. Or using any substances, and that might actually be to the great detriment of many young people.
Yes, absolutely.
So enforcing completely sober life, straight edge, all of the time, forever, because the lack of ability to moderate or self-moderate is going to be an issue. So even for the high school kids, where there was a topic of should parents allow alcohol on their property, in their home, and for the friends, invite a few friends over to have a small house party, and then provide them alcohol if they so choose to drink it, not forcing them, but making it available for them. Or is the fear of the parent because someone says, oh, I confess I had a sip of, a wine cooler or something at a friend's house when I was 13. Is the pushback from the government, other parent groups, Facebook snitches and things, so great that it prevents anyone from having a reasonable experience of altered states of consciousness from an early age to understand what it's about?
Well, kids give themselves altered states of consciousness without alcohol. frequently.
You're talking about like cough medicine and shit.
No, I'm talking about being fucking choked out till you pass out.
I remember this.
Fucking
Oh my God,
That was the gateway drug right there.
Yeah, bro.
So before don't you have to get a learner's permit before you can be autoerotic?
No,
Apparently not.
Not in Indiana, anyway, man.
Okay, all right. Okay.
You would have one guy lean over and huff real hard, go, and then stand up while the other guy's squeezing his chest, and then they're just out. You're like
standing in a fucking cornfield huffing fucking computer duster or some shit.
Oh man, the duster shit.
Oh, when I was like 11 or something like that.
They put bittering agents in those. They even put bittering agents on Nintendo Switch cartridges so people don't lick them. I mean, everything that was maybe a possibility of danger has been, sealed up because of legal implications and pushback and
now dudes are cutting off their dick because they don't have any struggles or sense of danger in their life. It's just
I would also state though that it's because we're in a very feminine society, and so to them a lot of these guys, they had a very domineering mother, and to them a powerful person is that woman. And so rather than wanting to grow up to be the man, the alpha for them is the woman, because we're in a horribly feminine society.
Yeah, probably. We've
been overly feminized for 60 years.
Safety should not be the priority on everything that it is. I think that there's a lot of value in learning how to manage like I got a fake ID when I was 15 and it worked great. And I can hold my liquor as an adult now. And I know it's just, there's value in learning that shit before you can go to prison.
I was never had the fake ID, but I joined the army when I was 17, and nobody questions your military ID going into a bar back in the early 90s. Like they're like, oh, military ID, yeah, go ahead. What you want? So I freaking and I do agree, and I practice that. I've got a bunch of kids myself, and with all my kids, I said, if you want to do something, come home. I'm not going to judge you. Talk to me about it. We'll discuss what the realities of it are, not the crap that they talk about in school, but also not the crap that your friends think either. And that way, if you decide that this is the thing for you, which that wouldn't have applied for any of the harder drugs, but like for cannabis or something like that, if you decide this is something you want to continue using, you're not going to go, if somebody tries to hand you some wet or something like that, you're going to look at it, smell it, and go, this ain't right. And now you're not going to expose yourself to a very dangerous situation because you have that knowledge, that experience. I think I agree with Flo. It's these kids that got kept bottled up and weren't able to go through the natural progression at that younger age, that now all of a sudden they're adults and they're able to do it, and they overdo it to an extent that no experienced person would do. I agree.
Well, that's sort of the book learning. If you have a DARE group in 4th grade, the Students Against Destructive Decisions, these types of, the cop comes in and tells you, don't do these drugs. If you think your parents are doing these drugs, let us know. That
Bullshit.
Sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's the greater topic of how are we to educate with a hands-off approach so that the young people have a little bit of self-experience with the things at their own pace to figure things out for themselves, because that's really the only way for certain types of learners to learn anything.
The way that I did it as a parent, and I don't recommend this course of action to anyone, but I was out of pocket for, I don't know, the first 9 or 10 years of my kid's life. I was fucking reckless. I was a reckless individual. I should not have been, but I was. And so now my kids have grown up rebelling against their parent. So they're all fucking straight edge. Fucking want to do any dumb shit, and they're like, "Oh no, I'm gonna try and figure this out without being a dumbass." So again, I don't recommend that, but Ben will testify, and Christy will testify. I got pretty good kids now. I do.
No, he really does. His kids are real good kids.
I've got the same. My daughter was 5 when our house got raided for drugs, and she's a teenager now, and like I've never had any issues with her at all. I'm not overbearing. It's not a great lesson. It's a terrible way to teach a lesson, but I do. There is a lot to be said for you're raising kids to operate in the world on their own, and so over parenting or overprotecting doesn't let them learn how to do that on their own. It actually stifles it. It's the opposite of what I think the goal should be. So I've always had the approach, look, I'm not going to fuck with managing your life if your life is managed. And that's worked out great. Yeah. She knows where the boundaries are. It started when she was young. Said, we can keep watching this TV show with Archer. We can keep watching Archer together. But if you cuss in front of your grandma, any adults at school, or your daycare provider, we're done with it. That philosophy has carried me through, and I recommend it.
So, are you an Orthodox Christian now?
I'm not.
Why not?
Are you an Orthodox Christian?
No,
Yeah.
not
No,
yet.
we're also kind of trying. We're more than kind of trying to pick a fight with the Ortho Bros.
Oh, it's not hard.
Yeah, it is. It's much harder than you would think. Yeah, much harder than you would think. Supposedly, I'm having a debate with Andrew, but he agreed to it back in October, like beginning like this second week of October, or first or second week of October, and just basically, and we invited. Steve and I have both been over to Easy's channel to try and pick fights, and invited people, and nobody will come pick fights with us. And I went on their channel and really had at it with them for a day, and then that was it. They won't.
Actually, I can hook you up with debates against Ortho Bros.
Perfect. We would love that.
What they seem to want, though, and I may be viewing it, I don't know, recently, and like in the isolated form that I do, because I don't immerse myself in it 100%. But it seems like they want more red team, blue team kind of arguments than anything that would actually push the bounds of thinking, or have them engage in anything other than pre-prescribed talking points that land as zingers instead of substantive debate. And again,
I actually agree with that.
I'm new to that. I could be totally fucking wrong. I really could. And
I think that's accurate.
I would like to be. Okay.
I think there's some truth to that.
Yeah, it's like, oh yeah, you guys are dying to freaking debate retarded liberals. Awesome.
Everybody wants to fucking kick around a liberal fucking idiot, dude. That's easy though.
Yeah.
That's so fucking easy.
Like, if you can't figure out what a woman is, then you're not worthy of debating. Like, that's just you obviously have lacking cognitive abilities already. So you're taking candy from a baby. What's up, Timothy? Good to see you live.
Is that candy you even want? Will you even eat the candy once you've gotten it from the baby?
No.
Then what are you going to do with it? What do you do with that? It's like, at some point, I guess our conversation went to the idea that there seems to be a cultural swing back for various reasons, which we could include in the debate, why we think that there is this sort of swing back to a more stringent set of rituals and a daily rigorous structure, probably because the amount of freedoms people have experienced has caused them suffering. So now they want to impose structure upon their lives to think that somehow that will lead to a different result. And maybe that's where we have the debate to say, do you believe that participating in an Orthodox fellowship, a group of men who are within the Orthodox Christian Church, that you will lead to a better outcome? I don't think we're arguing that you're going to have a worse outcome than what you were doing before. We want to explore what are the reasons that culture itself, in general, American culture, so maybe the hedonistic Western liberal sort of do what you want to do, libertine is the word I'm trying to say, like a libertine kind of thing, where we've now got more legalization of access to THC and alcohol and vapes and things from Temu and who knows what available for people, and they've tried some of that stuff.
I gotta tell you,
how did it go from hard illicit drugs to things from Temu, and then you just stop? You're just like,
all right, that was I'm like, your brain made a leap that I don't know how. That was a lot.
Maybe I'm advertised certain Temu products that are really embarrassing to share with you all.
There's a reason that you're getting shown pocket pussies.
Yeah. The Temu fleshlight is not being advertised to 7-year-olds.
All kinds of personal massage products.
Let me tell you, those wands from Temu, be careful with them. They do catch fire.
They do.
Yikes.
They do. And
the vibrators that look like microphones. Just watch it.
Yikes!
Don't even know if they're dishwasher safe.
They're not dishwasher safe. They're not.
Dude, and some of these girls really get into it. Could you imagine not figuring out that shit's on fire till it's really on? Here's my black pussy, guys.
Could you imagine?
Enjoy black pussy.
Could you imagine needing a fucking baseball bat to find a clitoris?
Man,
what the fuck, dude? Like, I don't know.
I need to have my leg in a bear trap to come. I don't know about you, vanilla.
Like,
hey,
you're like,
look, dude, I'm not here
like,
to kink shame, bro. I'm not here to kink shame. I'm not.
All I'm saying
if you need it in a bear trap, though, you should probably try getting punched in the back of the head first.
All I'm saying is if you've been taking a baseball bat to that beaver that's got freaking looks like it's something for fucking Royal Rumble cage match, with bumps and spikes on it, it's got a Harley engine attached to it, and you can't get off to no dude, that's your fault.
There's one of two possible situations that would arise from that, and one is that it's been beat up more times than Tina Turner. The other is
straight to hell.
Either way, cocaine's involved in this, no matter what.
The other is there's a lot of fucking anti-anxiety meds involved that just fucking chemically castrated this chick, and she's on too many fucking drugs and she can't come.
Well, who is Max and why is he so mad?
Well, he's mad because
dude, his dog.
Dude, but no, I mean, that's kind of what it amounts to. We've got generations of people on literal empathy killing drugs. If you're going to take away all of the fucking feeling receptors in a human being, you're going to take away the pleasure centers in a human being as a side effect of that. So we've got a lot of people that are highly medicated and overly medicated and can't feel legitimate human pleasure anymore as a direct result of the medication that they're on.
That sounds pretty logical to me.
It's kind of written into the chemicals that they put into this crap, and they've done multiple studies over it over the last like 15 years. And now we have a couple of generations of women that can't come, and as a result of it, want to run shit. And don't know how to fucking run shit. Like, I'm not. I know.
And straight up. So women that couldn't get off, that was literally what the definition of hysteria used to be. And women would go to the doctor to get vaginal area massages to get a release, to go and relieve their hysteria. like women, and it's a fact. Like they act, I don't know, it's something that media did in schools where they acted like men were the ones that are needy for sex. Oh no, women go without getting a piece broke off. They turn crazy, straight. Crazy.
They'll take it.
Yeah. Like,
yeah, I'm not, and look, dude, there's people getting frosty in the chat right now. Frosty. But look, dude, I'm not blaming women specifically for this at all. I love women. I love one specific woman, but I,
her name is
general,
Russell.
Her name's Frederick.
Got a very feminine penis.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a
large clit. Quit being fucking
it's an elongated clitoris. Don't be judgy. Holy fuck, dude. We just met.
You said you put your shit in a bear trap. What the fuck? Judgy son of a bitch.
What?
Right? You need teeth to come. I just need a large clit.
But have you tried teeth?
I've never had a blowjob from Taylor Swift. No, I have not.
But I guarantee all of us would take one if offered.
Absolutely not.
No.
Okay, you have to say that because your wife's right there.
If my wife wasn't there, I would say absolutely not. I am well past that age.
That's not an age that people grow out of.
Okay, look, man, just between you, me, and Jesus, I don't want a fucking flat-assed white girl giving me a toothy blowjob. I really don't. I really don't. And look,
he did say how much he likes the chocolate. He got the jungle.
Yeah,
he got the fever.
I was born with jungle fever. I have parlayed that into a complete rejection
nice
of
use
white
of
women.
Parlay.
But,
I don't know if it's a good one or right, but
it's accurate. It is.
Okay.
I word good. It may not look like it, but I word good. I do. But yeah, no. I don't think that, at least in California, you could date a white woman that will appreciate you in the modern era. Ben got lucky. He did. He bagged himself a white lady. But I also got lucky in that I have a smoking hot Mexican about to be wife. So
and she's sometimes nice to you too. That's an extra bonus.
More often than not,
lives in my house, so it's like he's got two houses in this.
Yeah. And I have a fucking escape hatch. I got a bro hole to fucking go to.
A bro hole. That's what you want to call that?
Yeah. No, I was making
the name that you settled on. It's a bro hole.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like a doggy door with a little
You can't reconsider and maybe make it something less zesty.
No, I want to make it that weird. I want to make it that weird. I'm trying to make it that weird on purpose. I am. Let's all get uncomfortable together.
What exactly was it that was women's fault? Anyways, I forgot what got blamed on women.
I'm not sure.
Their inability to think rationally. I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't know.
Well, that is kind of their fault. I don't know how to,
Yeah, I don't think anybody was blaming women for anything.
Yeah. Yeah. No, we do love you. We do.
Sure. So let's be clear now. If there is a woman who's in charge of a press conference and she reads from a teleprompter and tells California fire residents that they can get support by going to URL, and then she repeats that phrase again to tell people that they can get support by going to URL, and people not understanding that that is a universal resource locator. That's the placeholder for someone to put in the website into the text for the teleprompter. So when the woman under pressure at a press conference in California reads the words URL and doesn't correct to say, oh, that's a website, we'll get those details to you further, she wasn't able to go off script.
Oh, God. That is so fucking Ron Burgundy. It's awesome.
So if anyone,
Yeah, that's pretty Joe
clip,
Biden. That's pretty Joe Biden. I think that we can throw out this example because we just had a president who.
Yeah. Dude, you know the hairy leg speech was not on a script anywhere. He totally
but the hold for applause was.
The hold for applause was great.
The hairy legs thing is wild.
Dude, so wild. Like, I can't believe that was before the guy got president. I mean, it would be understandable if that one was on this newest run where everybody goes, oh, that guy's got dementia. Like, no, that was before he became president. You didn't realize then? You didn't listen to the hairy leg speech and go, oh, shit. And as his handlers all trying to rush him off the stage and get him to shut up and stop telling this story, like, fuck.
Right. So do you ever wonder if this string of insane leadership failures is part of the design to say that, well, you know, in crisis situations, our leaders buckle under the pressure. Therefore, our fail-proof system needs to be using a sentient simulation that we have on this server over here that's recreated the world and all the conditions for us to make a decision. And we punched in the situation, the numbers, and our output is, here's what we're going to do. And because we believe that the computer is the best that we have in terms of giving us a decision, well, you can't argue with the computer. You can't argue with that. This is what the computer said. This is what we did. No human gets fired or thrown under the bus in that situation anymore.
I think we're being taught not to like our form of representative government, which I can't say that I'm a massive fan of to begin with. But I do think we're being trained into the next industrial revolution.
Democracy, though, this democracy that we're being fed like it's a real thing now is absolutely nothing like what our country was founded on. Like, and I understand a lot of people, and I do get people butthurt, but weak bitch ass men should not be voting. Women should not be voting. Like, and you can distinctly tell the policy changes after both the men's rights movements and then the women's rights movements. You can tell the difference between and in my mind, and I'm not saying that I don't think you should vote, Flo, but in my mind, that's kind of what the epitome of like tonight's debate was, where you have people that are willing to sacrifice the future for the now.
No, you're retarded. You're retarded if you think that's what it's about. You're retarded, actually, if you think that's what that's about tonight.
I do think
it's about your assessment of what is harmful is off. It's not about at all like, oh, I want to save this house and fuck up the future. It's that you don't understand how salt works compared to chemicals.
It's that you're not thinking about.
No, I'm literally only thinking about the future.
That's why you.
I don't own a fucking house. I don't have a dog in that fight.
The worst thing you could do. That is an insult to do to
salt
people.
Water. Salt is the worst thing you could do. No.
That's the biggest insult you could do to a people. That's how you kept them down for generations.
Okay, I don't know what sort of generational trauma you're referencing, but if they had
salting the land became a saying.
I understand that. But salt is not a toxin. So too much of anything is a toxin. What I'm saying is salt is not a toxin, but all these chemicals that are getting burnt down, those are. You're replacing it with something worse because we have them at our disposal now.
I'm saying just like you wouldn't drink salt water a week after being out in a ship because you're dehydrated because it would make it worse. I would not put salt water onto a fire, even though I agree fully that the chemicals are the worst things that is in the situation. I still would not then go make it further worse by doing something I know is purposely harmful to the land.
Idea is to put salt water on things so that you don't have them burning. It's not to come and salt the ground after it's already burned down.
The thing's burnt down, period. There is no stopping that once they start going. Then what's
the point of art? You're saying that this whole debate was about whether or not we should pour salt water and ashes?
I live in Northern Cali. If your building's on fire, it's gone.
You're saying we just had an argument about whether or not we should pour salt water on ashes?
That building's definitely gone. There's no saving it. They are going to just stop it from going to the next.
Did anybody
building
else think that we were debating about
try and
whether or
get
not to pour
debris?
salt water onto already burnt down structures?
Yeah, and then that's going to take that.
But I wasn't asking Ben. I was asking everybody else.
And now pound that into the water table, and now that's on your land for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, no, there's a cause and effect thing that it has been largely unconsidered throughout all of this. And it's, yes, of course, everybody recognizes the need to put out a fire. No, nobody's arguing that. There are multiple different ways that humans have come up with over the last, I don't know, 140 years to deal with that. Lots of them aren't beneficial. So I think what we're ultimately trying to discuss is what is most beneficial, not what is immediately accessible. And then on top of that, we have the entirety of human history where people aren't pouring salt onto the ground because they have an intention of using that ground.
You think that's why we haven't pumped ocean water onto fires throughout human history? Because we knew that we wanted.
Yeah, because you would like to grow shit thereafter.
You don't think there might be an infrastructure or a capacity issue that maybe we didn't have a way to transport millions of gallons of water?
Why would you ever want to transport water that's going to damage everything on the land?
Because everything's on fire, motherfucker. What do you mean?
Then why don't they do it, bro? Then why don't they do it?
Right?
The same reason they started it in the first place. Because, and we all agree that this is a harm.
They have not done it.
Okay. Because throughout human history, they didn't have the ability to move that much fucking water. Are you kidding?
Well,
that's
we've
why.
had it for 100+ years at this point, where we've had aircraft that could do that. That's not a part of CDF or any other
I don't know, but unless you do know for sure and can demonstrate that, we're all speculating.
Canadians in to do it because they guys got their shit together
first.
We'll have to do some more homework.
Saltwater is implemented as a mitigating and very, very minority part of the overall protocol for all of the modern era.
Because all of our infrastructure is designed to move fresh water, because when we're not fighting fires, we have an alternative use for it. The primary use actually is potable water.
Let's continue your line of thinking. Why are you using fresh water? Not because it's not.
Liz,
because
I just explained it.
Hang on. Not because it's right there. Not because it's the most convenient, especially if you're in Malibu and you have to go over an entire fucking mountain range in order to get there. So it's not because it's closer.
It's not because it's closer. It's because we've got other uses and it's less corrosive. It's less corrosive. It would make no sense to build out infrastructure to fight fires that taps the ocean and have another system entirely used for everything else.
In an area where fresh water is a problem, it wouldn't make sense.
Correct.
Well, it wouldn't. Well, why would you keep using fresh water in a drought-stricken area when you have all this salt water right here? There must be another reason they don't use the salt water.
Maybe there is.
Maybe
there is, but you are speculating like a motherfucker. And if you think that that's the way to win an argument,
that's history, bro. That's all of human history.
It's not. What's history is that we couldn't pipe that much water everywhere throughout human history. That's what history is. And we didn't have massive cities. We didn't have massive urban areas that were completely covered in cars and industrial chemicals. And
I've been waiting on that.
Some of you motherfuckers need to stop doing so many dabs up there.
Hey, you settle the fuck down.
Your brain is getting sticky.
You just settle down. Do your own time.
I did.
What other topics of debate have been in your mind, Flo, that you haven't had a proper fight up against?
Well, like I said, lately I've been debating mostly, or it seems that most of the attention has gone towards manosphere topics because I just learned that I'm white pill apparently.
That might be a racist term that's being used against you.
You know what? It might be, but
sure.
Yeah, I don't have one actually.
You do like going on some black shows.
Yeah. Yeah.
They might be suddenly talking shit, you cracker ass.
We had some struggles in arranging a nuanced conversation about reparations and from who to whom and which direction money might flow. And
it'd be interesting to get somebody who's for reparations to go through the pretend like a thought exercise, pretend that it's already been passed and granted, right? Now figure out how to distribute that money. Who gets what's the cut points? How do you decide? What about people who are black but came over later? Like just the distribution.
And then who has to pay for it? Should it be the general taxpayers or just the families that you can trace back that owned those slaves?
What about slaves of other races, right?
Yeah. What about the Irish slaves? 100%.
Slave labor from inmates, right? Like I mean, it's like once you start unraveling that ball of wax. I guess you don't unravel wax, but you get what I'm saying.
You stick it in your ear and don't listen to not have.
That's true. Yes.
Are we ever going to talk about the fact?
25 cents an hour,
dude. Korea had the longest unbroken chain of human slavery in recorded history. The Koreans did.
I did not know that.
Everyone can go look that up right now. 1,400 years of uninterrupted human slavery.
That's a long ass time.
Does that continue into their pop music program?
Yeah, is it still right?
Is
it still going on today?
Slavers be slaving, be slaving.
But I mean, if we're gonna go ahead and look at any particular group of people, you would have to start there. If you were like, hey, that's really messed up that you thought you could own people, you would have to start with the Koreans, and then you would go to the Barbary pirates, and then you would go to the Dutch.
I think if we wanted to be real about I'm not going to hold anyone to this because I like to have debates, but if we wanted to be honest with ourselves about it, we wouldn't even anybody who's buying shit off Temu and Wish don't really have any validity to criticize slavery.
Are you talking shit about Marcus?
If the shoe fits, man, I'm just saying.
Hey, no, I say I don't buy things from Temu.
I don't.
But how do you know what they're advertising to you?
Because they keep
from Indonesia.
Because they keep showing them the advertisements.
By a 12-year-old at a sweatshop.
I actually don't. I don't disagree with Flo at all here. I did. My thing for fucking years now has been if we want to actually get out of the culture that's been forced on us, we have to change our fucking consumption model. If we don't change our consumption models, then we're doomed to reacting to the culture that's been forced upon us, as opposed to creating the kind of culture that we would like to live in.
Sure.
It's incumbent on all of us to create the culture we want to live in.
That sounds very threatening to dollar store, Steve.
What?
That sounds very threatening to dollar store.
Yes, it is. It's directly threatening to the dollar store. I am anti-dollar store. I am. I don't think it should be the grocery store for people in rural communities. I don't. And it is. It is.
It is.
A frozen meal from a Dollar General.
Dollar General.
Dude, they took over the Midwest. There, if your town's got 12 people in it, there's a fucking dollar store at the end of town.
Well, not even in a town. It doesn't have to be in a town. It's just at an intersection where traffic will be, and there'll be a Dollar General there.
But it doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't. It really doesn't. Dude,
it's a Dollar General with one human employee. Just lock the door and unlock the door.
Balderson here is a living example of the fact that it doesn't have to fucking be that way.
You know? Why you don't go to Dollar General?
No, I live off grid. I built my home. I built my farm. I milk my cows. I grow my food. I make my own.
You don't wipe your ass?
Nah, yeah, occasionally.
Do we want to tell them about the 3 seashells?
Yeah, the 3 seashells.
Demolition Man.
I don't
You
know
don't
what that
know.
is, and I'm fine not knowing.
You don't know about the 3 seashells.
You've never been into a bathroom and seen 3
goddamn
seashells?
Neanderthal.
I know if I ever see 3 seashells, I think that now I know just to leave. Whatever's happening in there doesn't involve me. I'm not a part of that. I'm not supposed to be here.
Oh, shit, he's like, I'm gonna go find a bear trap somewhere and a hooker. The Starseed girl.
Hell yeah. at homie's conference, I'll be pissed if I like show up and I'm ready for the crystal bitches, and then there's like just nothing.
Oh hell no, that whole room is gonna smell like patchouli in high school pussy that's been coming all week.
Okay, that's not a good way to sell that either.
Like, you go to any of these festivals out here, they have a distinct scent. There's just no doubt about it.
High schools do. What? That's wild.
I think I can buy something on Temu that goes in my nostrils to help with that situation.
You don't need to use goats for fire prevention. Goats are fire prevention.
Yeah,
their natural state of being is making it so that you have a defensible space.
Yeah, I every year, and there's videos on my channel about this. I go around the whole perimeter of my farm, and I take some cutters and I cut the dead branches, and the goats will eat about 5 feet into the underbrush, and then I go cut the dead branches out and rip them out and go burn them, and then the goats continue on. Yep. And when I first got this place, it was so overgrown. There was a water tank about 50 feet from my house. It took us 3 months to find it.
I can
wild.
Personally attest to this. Earlier in the show tonight, we talked about when I had to evacuate from the Santa Cruz Mountains because it was being burned out. I went to Balderson's house. It was literally 2 weeks after you bought that place?
I wasn't even here. I told Steve, I was like, because I was trying to gather my stuff to move here, and I'm like, well, I'm not there, but you can go ahead. Here's my address. Yeah. I don't know what's there. I don't know.
I was here.
Yeah.
Christy was here.
Yeah. And it was completely rewilded. And
probably because it had never had salt water on it.
Never had the opportunity to get fucking strangled. You're right.
White man's tears on the land.
Yeah.
What was that commercial with the Native American standing on the precipice looking down at civilization and just crying, just saying, you know what?
Oh, the littering thing?
Well, yeah, it's just that's kind of the concern of that with the industrialization of suburbia, all of that stuff, all those McMansions, all of that requires such a precision level of maintenance to keep all the wires from running and all the gas lines to work and everything. Anything that just goes bad, 1, 2, 3, that's like maximizing the amount of uncomfortableness you're going to live in your McMansion when your HVAC doesn't work and then your gas oven doesn't start up and then you don't have internet. And it's like you're trapped. You're trapped around concrete. So
we didn't have any internet. We used to fucking Steve and I, when we'd go to do interviews, you have to drive about 45 minutes, and then there's different pull-offs where it's like, oh yeah, you get phone signal at this one, and we even know which pull-offs they are, kept track of them. I got Starlink now, but
one of the weirdest fucking interviews I ever did in my entire fucking career of doing this, I was on the side of Alder Point Road, near Ben's house, and it was me, Scott Horton, and William Ramsey. And William Ramsey is pretty fucking legendary. Horton's legendary in libertarian circles and shit like that. And I'm quite fucking literally on a hillside in a windstorm with this microphone, with this one in my hand right now, trying to have a conversation with people who are, I mean, hugely more important than me, who have a lot more to say. And it was,
did it work?
Oh yeah, it worked great. It was a fantastic show. And then like 3 days later, I was talking to a friend of mine who lives in, or until recently lived in Syria, and I'm trying to have like a super serious conversation. What's going on in Syria? It was 2020. There's serious shit going on, and
some serious shit going on. Come on,
I'm doing that. There's a fucking homeless guy wandering around in the field behind me because I'm in a meadow in Garberville in the parking lot at a hardware store with hang on, with an inverter plugged into my vehicle with an extension cord running out of it to where I could plug in my laptop to a power strip so I could also plug in my camera and my microphone. And so I'm sitting at a fucking picnic table and there's a home bum behind me foraging.
Hey, bro, I'm a diabetic. I need a cheeseburger. Hit you with that one.
Everybody needs a cheeseburger. Everybody needs a cheeseburger.
The town.
Until you hand them a cheeseburger, then they're fucking pissed.
Oh yeah, like I wanted money.
Like you don't get how you don't get this interaction we're having here. You think I need food?
Fuck.
Look over there around the corner, bitch. There's 3 bags of groceries. I wanted money.
Dude.
To give them a cell phone with Bitcoin on it.
Man, they've got 4 cell phones each, and they're charging them all off the light pole.
Yeah.
Hey, Flow State, drop your email in the private chat or a way to contact you. I would like to invite you on my show. Let's talk more shit.
Sounds good. I'm down. Here's my email, and above there, a few comments up, I put my 2 YouTube channels, Flow State and Power Dusty, and my email is linked. If you lose my email is linked on the About tabs of my channel.
Okay.
Yeah, we would like to join you on your quest against the Manosphere and the Ortho Bros.
I'm gonna need you to swear an oath of allegiance to me, but then we're good.
That will probably not happen.
Okay, I need you to tie the 5% then.
I'm not comfortable with cussing.
I'll send you a t-shirt. I will. I'll send you a t-shirt right now. So that's what I got.
Okay, I'll accept t-shirts.
Marcus went to Evangelical Christian College, and he is a Christian evangelist.
It is true. Yes.
Is it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I was going to say, I think God spared, was it Pepperdine University there? Like the fire just stopped right before the college.
Yeah.
On the map in California. So there is divine providence.
He actually has a favorite Christian band.
A multiple.
Is it DC Talk?
No, it's not. But I have a favorite Christian band too.
Creed.
Mine's Striper, personally. But I'm old school. I
never heard of Striper.
Have I ever told you, Marcus, about seeing DC Talk?
When did you see them? What era?
1989, 1990.
Is that like Free at Last tour?
Something like that, man.
God
Something
damn.
like that.
You are.
Had they hung out with Billy Graham?
He's ahead
at that point.
He is. No, but this was we hung out with like Amy Grant era.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Barefoot.
I'm not gonna lie, Jesus Freak still goes hard. That song slaps.
It's great.
Yay!
It's great.
Well, you are wearing the Nirvana
fucking
beanie.
gay.
I am. Oh yeah.
So you would appreciate music that references Nirvana
Look,
heavily.
I'm from the golden era of nu metal.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody can tell me anything other than 1998, 1999 was the best years of music ever in human history.
Not true, but
there was no metal produced in the late 90s.
New metal. I'm talking about Korn, Limp Bizkit, Old Slipknot, Orgy.
You're talking about gay stuff?
It's not gay unless you want it to be.
Orgy.
You're trying to tell me Fred Durst isn't gay?
Vapor
Do not.
Transmissions.
Are you honestly
India.
going to hold that
Look,
debate?
I'm not going to stand on such unsolid ground.
look, man, I'll have a music conversation with you all day long.
So I think what happened.
I'm not even gonna fucking deny that there wasn't a pioneering era of a genre of music that people hadn't been exposed to in the late 80s, or sorry, late 90s, early 2000s. There was, and yeah, people are still hooked on that shit. But let's be honest, it's the don't waste your time on me. There's already a voice inside my head. That's that fucking era, bro.
When I was in college, I can play drums kind of, but when I was in college, I decided that I wanted to learn I taught myself 3 songs on guitar because I figured if I can't get laid after 3 songs, then this is not going to work out with this chick, right? And one of them was Adam's song by Blink-182.
Okay.
Dun, dun, dun,
You know what you
dun,
should have learned? You should have learned Annie.
Annie.
Yeah.
Which one's? I don't remember which one that is.
Annie, are
sorry,
you okay?
Amy. My bad. If you can pull up to a campfire and pull off Amy, then you're getting laid. You are. Let me prove it to you. It's the Pure Prairie League.
Okay, I'm gonna look it up.
The Pure. I'm pulling it up right now, dude. I got you. If you can pull off the intro, that's all you need. The intro in and of itself is an instant panty dropper. If you can't nail it, you ain't getting laid. But if you can, my dude, you're fucking swimming in it. You are. Let's I'll show you right now. Here we are.
I could get laid without singing songs. I just thought that having a guitar trick up the sleeve might help.
Oh, it was a prop.
It was a prop, yeah.
Okay. Well, I got you.
Yeah. So Adam's song, I learned like just dun, 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 that one, and then "Come As You Are" by Nirvana. No. And then I don't remember what the third one was. I always forget the third one. But yeah, it was things like that to where I can pretend like I can play the guitar long enough to get props for being a guitar player, right?
Okay. Well, and then you're clearly younger than me. But Nirvana works and shit, dude. If you got pipes, can you sing?
No. No.
Can you yell into a microphone with relative tonality? Because that counts too.
I don't know. I mean, that's unexplored territory.
I mean, you got to admit, "Smells Like Teen Spirit" was like the rock version of mumble rap.
You're just being stupid and contagious. Stop it.
Look, I'm not even a Nirvana fan. I'm a Alice in Chains and Soundgarden dude. Like, as far as vocalists go, there's nobody better than Chris Cornell.
I don't know if anybody can be anti Alice in Chains, though. That's like,
it'd be pretty hard.
There's probably some pastors we could find.
You gotta wake up a hater.
Yeah.
Like, you're just waking up mad at the fucking world.
If Neil Young can make it with his voice, then I can make it with mine, no matter what it sounds like.
True. Neil Young's songs sound great as long as somebody else is singing them.
I know, I love Neil Young's music, but if this was your homie and you heard, he's like, "Hey, you want to hear my song?" which is always a no, but you say yes anyways.
Right.
You'd be like, "Dude, your singing is not your thing."
Yeah.
You, the ACDC guy,
Yeah.
the guy
George
from Jane's Addiction.
Thorogood.
Some of you guys need to just go fuck off for a while.
Well,
Play drums.
I will push back on the Perry Farrell there. Jane's Addiction wouldn't sound like Jane's Addiction if it wasn't for Perry Farrell. And you can't listen to the Mountain Song or Stop or anything without like just
I always sometimes
going
forget
full speed.
Steve was bi and stuff and did the whole punk thing with the other bi dudes. Not full gay.
Did you have the
but-
snake bite lip rings?
Yeah, I forget about that.
Yeah, no, what we did is we
Like fishnet things with his nipples out.
but also dicks too. That was just part of it. It was.
It helps the music sound better.
Dick in, dick out.
Yeah.
You can't be a
Full immersion
Yeah.
in the scene and the culture.
We couldn't all be like Ben, where we went and signed up for service for the state.
yeah.
And then
You know what? It was not my brightest day. I was extremely hungover. I had gotten very drunk the night before. I wasn't sure what I was signing.
Were you still drunk?
Did they promise
Yeah.
a free trip to Germany?
Yeah.
So you had to do that shit too. You had to join the army.
Didn't you have? You were 17. Didn't you have like a full, like I don't know, at least a few months to where you could be like, just kidding. By the way, I'm not supposed to be here.
Yeah, well, then honestly, so right, I signed up when I lived in South Dakota, and so they set me off to go off to boot camp when my senior year ended. But I moved to Minneapolis. In Minneapolis, it has like a 3-week longer school year, and so when my time to deploy came, they're like, "Listen," and I told them, "I'm like, well, I'm not out of high school yet," and they're like, "Yeah, well."
You're now.
Or you can get a dishonorable discharge. And dishonorable discharge is no joke on your paperwork that follows you throughout life. So you bet I didn't even graduate high school.
What do dishonorable discharge like? How is that impactful? I mean, I've got a felony,
you can't
so
ever get federal help for nothing ever again. You are never getting help for nothing. You're a disgrace to the community. You're never getting put on a list. You're never getting in any housing. Never any of that. You basically, that is one of the worst black marks that you can get on your record. That's going to stay there as a shining star for the rest of your life. I didn't get. I came back after I went through AIT. I got my GED. I never did actually fully graduate high school.
Well,
good news. You can say you've got your GED or your diploma, and probably nobody's ever going to look at it.
Yeah, nobody's ever asked, ever one time.
I gotta bounce. You guys can hang out as long as you want. I don't, but I gotta drop off.
It was good talking to you.
We'll let you end the stream. You're gonna keep going. Are you gonna keep going, Flo?
Not right now, but I'll be back. If you guys are still up, I'll be back a little later tonight.
I got like 2 hours left in me is all.
Yeah. No, I'm not gonna continue right now, but I've got something scheduled for wow, it's later than I thought it was. I'll be back in about an hour, back on with another stream, but
I'll probably come over and join you when you go do that. You got my email, right?
I don't, but I don't.
We'll figure it out after we say good night to Rockfin and YouTube. And are we streaming anywhere else?
Yeah, we're on BitChute and Odyssey, and I think that's it.
We're from that era where we were very anti jibby jab and anti the response to the things, and we were banned very early into it and shut down from YouTube, taken off. So we have very large, like Steve's Rockfin's giant, but our YouTube is just rebuilding.
I haven't had a YouTube since 2019, man. Really?
Yeah. We're trying to go rebuild into YouTube, because then the problem with these alternative ones is, it's a limited space and YouTube's the big pond, but you also with having issues being demonetized, and you've experienced all the same bullshit. You know what we're going through.
Yep. Yep. That's why I've got 2 channels. One, Flow State, my main one, my monetization keeps getting fucked with. I am less than a month away from, I'm like 2 weeks away from being eligible to reapply, but also my other channel, the Powdered Dusty, that I'm pushing forward, that's getting close too. I just need a few more subs, a few more watch hours.
That's where we're at. We're trying to build the subs up on this, but we're also trying not to make the ties back to our old stuff, because we're trying not to get that black mark, brought here. And so we aren't really dipping like myself.
I'm the black mark. I am.
I mean, your car got lit on fire in someone's driveway. That's for sure.
I'm pretty YouTube toxic.
Steve worked for the mainstream media there for a while too, until he did things like try and write an article and have it produced for, what was it, the New York Times, that said Obama,
the Nation.
The Nation. Yeah. And it was titled
hold on. Do I want you to say the title while I'm streaming to my channel?
Oh yeah, you're fine.
Yeah, it was the article I tried to have published that I was fired and fucking kicked out of that whole world for was I wrote an article called Barack Obama, Reagan with a Tan. In 2007. And they said no more.
This is the fastest way to piss off everybody. Everybody hates you now.
Yeah, he did that when.
Who is your target market for this?
Yeah, he did that when Obama was Jesus, when everybody thought he could do no wrong.
I was trying to do the world a favor. I was.
And instead you fucked yourself.
In hindsight, turns out I was right and they were assholes. But, it did. No, I was effectively blacklisted for, a decade or more. I couldn't get a job with any publication. And this is in the early era of being able to write on the internet. Mm-hmm. And I had got hired as a part of the Nation's election year blog team. It was the first time they had an internet presence ever. And ultimately, the guy who gave me my walking papers was Chris Hayes, who went on to have very successful shows on MSNBC and all that kind of shit.
I'm confusing him with Chris Hansen. You're not talking about Chris Hansen.
Yeah, no, not the To Catch a Predator guy, the guy who looks like he should have been told to sat down by Chris Hansen for a To Catch a Predator show. Yeah.
Those wine coolers were for him. I'm just saying.
Look, Bartles and James goes a long way.
And then Steve, might have knocked somebody else on his ass, that was also a big time person. He also might have had a reputation for having slept with Jimmy Dore's right hand man's girlfriend.
That happened.
Like, there's some things going around. He's had some black marks on him.
Oh, you're looking for trouble.
No, dude. Okay.
There's
a great song by Todd Snyder. If you're not familiar with Todd Snyder, one of the penultimate American singer-songwriters of our generation, and he's got a song where the refrain is, "Some of this trouble just finds me."
Sounds like an excuse.
Some of this trouble I earned.
Okay.
And so I'll admit that some of this trouble I earned. But some of this trouble just finds me, man. Some of it does.
He legit didn't sleep with dude's girlfriend.
I legitimately did
legit not. Though, anytime that chick was on a show with Steve, she was giving him the fuck me eyes like you wouldn't believe. And it looked really bad to the point where even Christy and I were watching and we'd be like, they might stab Steve when this show gets over.
So if you're getting blamed for it, you might as well just do it.
Well, fate and distance prevented that.
Well, when you see cheese
Also,
in a mousetrap,
the living La Vida Loca, even Steve has limits for the amount of crazy he'll stick his dick in, apparently.
That's fair.
Mm.
That's fair. That's
That-
fair.
Well,
All right.
those are self-imposed limitations. If you really want to succeed in life, you need to bust through those barriers. Don't hold yourself back.
Have a fantastic night. Flo, I'll be getting a hold of you. Please do come on the show. You guys hang out as long as you fucking want. I'm going to dip. Ben or Marcus, please hit me up on Telegram when you're clearing out.
No, go ahead and you can end it. So
end the
Flo can
stream.
do whatever it is
Oh,
he's
yeah?
going to do, and then we'll go hang out with Flo in like an hour. I don't know
All
if
right.
Mark is gonna, but I will, I guess.
All right.
Good to
Well,
meet you guys.
Yeah, in that case, we'll see you next week.
Love you guys.
In for.
do we say see you next Tuesday, deliberating dudes?